Welcome back to the Triple Play Podcast. Here with once again the greatest quarterback to post route you've ever seen. Obviously Nick is in support of the Panthers using Christian McCaffrey in the first half this week as he's wearing the jersey. So Nick, I'm gonna let you tell him what we're talking about today.
We're gonna be talking about the Thursday night football. We're gonna go over the game, give y'all our thoughts on that. It was a close game, 27-24 Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knew that it was going to be a close game. I do
hmm
think everybody thought that maybe there would be a little bit more scoring. Um, I don't know. I'll tell you my opinion, my main opinion, main takeaway from this game. Both of these quarterbacks need to dwindle down their, weapons that they're targeting. I feel like they really need to target or hyper target the superstars a little bit more. Now, Justin Herbert did target Mike Williams quite a bit, and Mike
hmm
Williams was making just absolutely the most absurd catches.
hmm
This guy
He
is
was
just
going off.
he's a big body, man, and I'm telling you, sometimes it's like he doesn't even exist in the offense, and then sometimes it's like he is the offense. But I just think after that, he just like he tried to spread the ball around a lot. Pat Mahomes was spreading the ball around to everybody, and that's great and all. But it's not great for my fantasy team. I'll tell you that. So we're gonna have to think about that one a little bit. But now,
Yeah,
I think I said 38-35, and you said 35-34, right?
I said 35-34 Chiefs.
Now
Yes.
you did have the Chiefs winning, I had
Yep.
the Chargers winning, so give you give you one on that one. But we could talk about the Chargers first here if you'd
All
like to,
right.
since they lost.
Um, I think I'm gonna go over my three predictions and tell you what I missed and hit on, and
Yep,
then you can take over and talk about some of the stuff you want to talk about.
sounds good.
For Herbert, I had him for 350 plus yards and two or more touchdowns. Now he had 334 yards, three touchdowns and a pick.
Yep.
Definitely not a bad day. I mean, missed on the yards by 16 yards, but still a phenomenal day from Justin Herbert. And I
Yeah.
mean, really, the one interception, that was one play that cost them the game. Threw the interception on the goal line, ran it back for a pick six.
Yeah, and I actually heard about that situation today. So Gerald Everett basically is dragging defenders all the way down to the 1 yard line, basically, and gets up and is like begging for a sub because like he's just gassed. And they're like, no, no, no. And Justin Herbert's like signaling him like the ball's coming to him, the ball's coming to him. So Gerald Everett gets off the line and like literally just like can't dig into the ground and like get back because he's just gassed. And of course the defender beats him to the ball. Like so, I mean, that was a very, very like particular take on that I heard, and it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
it was pretty obvious that the defender knew exactly where the ball was going to be, and that Gerald Everett just wasn't able to get there.
yeah. For Mike Williams, hey, he made me look like a genius. Really, I had him for 7 plus receptions and 100 plus yards. He had 8 receptions, 113 yards on a tug.
Yeah, and
Great week for Mike Williams.
8 receptions is a lot of receptions from Mike Williams, and
Yep.
it didn't ever seem like most of the receptions didn't look easy.
No, it was he
Yeah,
was making crazy catches for these.
jumped posted up at the 1 yard, almost had two touchdowns
Yeah.
because posted up at the one, caught that ball, jumped up in front of the defender, just boxed him out, basically caught the ball, one-handed grab while fighting with the defender on the in the right side of the end zone there. So crazy good for sure. And what was your
Uh,
third line?
my third one was Austin Eckler with two plus total touchdowns. And yet another sorry week from Austin Eckler. Every single round one Austin Eckler drafters are crying right now. They're sad. Um, Austin Eckler, I don't know. He'll have his weeks, I'm sure. 14 carries, 39 yards, averaging 2.8 yards a carry. Pitiful again.
Yeah.
Now he saves your week in fantasy with his 9 receptions for 55 yards, but still, that's 6.1 yards. That is the lowest on the team with anyone with more than one reception by like
Yeah.
a pretty decent margin.
Yeah, no, and 10 targets, so tied with Mike Williams and Gerald Everett for the most targets on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're not playing PPR, if you're even just playing half point PPR, which is what a lot of people play, like half point per reception,
Yeah.
you're frustrated
Mm-hmm.
for sure. The only way you're like scraping by is with that full point PPR right now.
Mm-hmm.
Some leagues with no PPR and everything, I'm sure those owners are just freaking out right now about Austin Eckler because it's almost like they're trying to manage his workload and in the second week of the season. So either there could be some underlying things that we don't know, or they're just like, okay, well, we're a playoff team. Like, we're going to be a playoff team. It's going to be fine. We're going to use multiple running backs throughout the season. Just keep Austin Eckler healthy. That's probably where I'm thinking on this one.
I just think he's sorry. You if you touch the ball 23 times and you can't even get 100 yards, dude, that's pitiful.
Yeah, it's not looking good there for sure. Some other viable players to talk about. Obviously Gerald Everett at the tight
Mm-hmm.
end spot. Really,
I, and
he's emerging for sure.
you said this to me the other day, so I'm going to give you credit for saying it. But
Yeah.
you said that he could be a top 5 tight end, and if he keeps this same reception or target count throughout the season, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, and
Absolutely agree with you.
I think he hurts Austin Eckler the most because when Keenan Allen is healthy, Gerald Everett is the obvious third option
Mm-hmm.
in the offense. It doesn't become Austin Eckler out of the backfield anymore because Gerald Everett has just done too well to not get targets.
Right.
So I feel like he's obvious third option, and if you have Keenan Allen healthy, you're not going to play a guy like Josh Palmer anyway. So but no, I'm telling you, 71 yards, that's something that a lot of tight ends are just not hitting right now. Like tight
Yeah.
ends are really low right now.
I mean, he had 6 receptions for 71 yards. That dude, if you're getting that out of him every week, that's what 6 receptions is 6 points, and then what
Yeah,
7.1,
13.1.
13.1 without a touchdown,
Yeah.
dude. Like, if you're getting that out of your tight end every week, that's amazing. Like, you're
Yeah,
perfectly fine
that's
and
top
at that
5 tight
spot.
end numbers for
Oh
sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Other notable, Josh Palmer, coming in as a second wide receiver, spoke very highly of him on the preview. He did get a touchdown at the end of the ball game, thank goodness, because he was about 3 for 22 or something to that point, and just hadn't really been able to hook up on some of the targets that he had. But 4 for 30, got a touchdown. An athletic player, but if Keenan Allen's there, you're definitely not rolling with Josh Palmer whatsoever,
No.
which kind of stinks, but I that's just kind of how it goes in sports. I mean, you're gonna get the ball to your best players, hopefully.
Yeah.
Over on the Chiefs side, I'll let you run through your lines on the Chiefs side.
Okay, Mahomes, I had 300 plus yards and 3 plus touchdown passes. 235 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Still not a bad day. I mean, 24 for 35, not a bad day.
Did what he needed to win.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, did they just not have a ton of time of possession? Really, or do they just have like
Um,
a bunch of big plays?
I think there might be a way that I can look that up.
Oh,
I know.
dude, look at this here. Justin Watson, two receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown. McCole Hardman, 3 receptions for 49 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 4 receptions, 44 yards. All they're having is big plays.
Yeah, and I
So they
mean,
just march down the field.
yeah, they don't. They just seem like you can tell from the first play of a drive whether the Chiefs are going to have it that drive or not.
Yeah,
Because sometimes they come out there and they're just flat as could be, and then sometimes they come out there and look like there's literally no one that could ever stop what they're doing
right.
because it's a very good Chargers defense.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think the most impressive thing is Pat Mahomes was only sacked one time. When you got
Yeah,
guys like Khalil Mack breathing down your neck, I mean you got to worry a little bit.
yeah.
So a very respectable front only got to him one time.
I had Juju 5 plus receptions, 80 plus yards and a touchdown. Juju 3 receptions, 10 yards. What is that?
Now, me and you were texting about it last night, and we apologize for this video being a little late coming out. Somebody might have
Yeah.
fell asleep last night. Not sure who it was, but but we were talking about the fact that we thought Juju would be okay. That we thought Travis Kelce and Juju were the ones that you could still go after
hmm
in this as far as receiving the ball. And today, I was hearing from multiple sources that everybody was ready to move on from Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, McCole Hardman, like the whole bunch. I really, really don't think it's time to move on from Juju just yet.
No, because
He,
I think in the first week Mahomes showed that, or him and Mahomes showed that they can make something work there.
yep.
They really can. And
And
Travis Kelce, 5 receptions for 51, most receptions and the most yards. It's like, stop spreading it out so much.
exactly. I love it. I'm glad you're a team player, but hey, let's get it to the big boys here just a little bit. Let's get it to Kelsey and let's get it to Juju. And every once in a while we'll take our bomb down the field with whoever, but those two guys got to get, you know, Kelsey had 7 targets, Juju only had 3. Juju should have at least 7 or 8 targets a game.
Easily.
But no, Juju's just an athlete. He's got the build for it and everything. I think he'll be just fine in my opinion. Um, as far as running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has looked very, very serviceable this year. Honestly,
Yeah, he's not that bad.
yeah, no, definitely a better start than I was thinking was going to happen. Now he did have a couple big plays. He had over half his receiving yards come on one play, and 52 of his 74 rushing yards come on one play. So, but he's supposed to be an explosive guy. That's what this offense is all about. Guys that if they get into the open space, they use it.
Mm-hmm.
They use it. But you're feeling good about Clyde Edwards-Helaire being the starting back. If you thought, picking up Isaiah Pacheco was a good idea, it's time to move on because a close game where things actually had to happen, 2 carries,
Yeah.
6 yards.
Yeah. Nothing.
So Jerick McKinnon was coming in before Pacheco was. So if it's going to be close game, Pacheco's obviously not an option for you. I'm moving on from Valdez-Scantling. We're done. McCole Hardman, you're done. You're done, kid. All right. Anyway, okay. Smash the red button. It's time to move on. Okay. Panic room activated because I had Marquez Valdez-Scantling in both leagues, and he is no longer on either one of those lineups. Now, next week he's going to catch a 65-yard touchdown, and that's great. Somebody's going to go pick him up and put him on their team, and then they're going to have to deal with 2 or 3 weeks of hot garbage before he catches that touchdown again. It's the truth, and that's the way you play. Anybody, like last year and years prior, anybody but Kelsey and Tyreek Hill was a maybe. Was an absolute maybe because last year, first game of the season, Sammy Watkins catches like 3 touchdown passes, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, he's the new Chiefs weapon! Like he is the one." And after that, Lord goodness, I couldn't tell you the next time he caught more than 3 passes in a game. Like it's just the Chiefs are just weird. They're weird about the way they do things. Who knows who's going to score? Listen, Andy Reid might catch a pass before it's over with. With the Chiefs, man, I'm telling you, it's something else. But don't panic on Juju. Travis Kelce's just fine. Clyde Edwards-Helaire looks great. Keep those guys in your lineup for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm pretty good on that. I know I picked the Chargers to win that division, and the Chiefs won round 1 here, and have looked very, very good. So I guess we'll just find out next week where we head from there with the Chiefs.
Yeah. I'm still high on the Chiefs, I think, right now. I might even be higher than I was to start the season.
Oh, for sure. I think everybody is. It's been a breath of fresh air to know that they're still dangerous.
And I'm still high on the Chargers if Keenan Allen doesn't become like an injury problem in some way.
Yeah.
I think that could really, really affect them over the course of a season if they're missing him frequently.
Yep.
Or having to limit his action or anything like that. I think that could be a huge, huge loss for them.
Now it did come out today that Justin Herbert does have fractured rib cartilage in his rib, like in his ribs or whatever. Don't know how that affects. Obviously if it was like really, really, really bad, I feel like it'd be all over everything. But it may be something that he just has to manage as the year goes on.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe just something where I don't think he misses any time necessarily. But as of right now, they haven't said anything.
That just isn't good for football. Yeah, young stars missing time.
Absolutely not. You're correct. But anyway, hopefully everything's okay.
Yeah.
Thursday night recap.
Yeah, Thursday night recap. That's it. All right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Triple Play Podcast. Here to talk about how the NFL is the most unpredictable league in professional sports.
Yeah.
We're talking March Madness levels of unpredictable here, people. But I'm gonna let Nick tell you exactly what we're diving into today.
We're going to talk about all of the Sunday games. And there were quite a few comebacks, quite a
Oh, yeah.
few almost comebacks, quite a few blowouts.
Couple slaughters.
Yeah.
Couple,
I mean, it was
couple heartbreaks.
yeah.
My
Well,
heart still hurts.
hey, my heart broke twice in about 6 hours. But anyways, let's you want to kick it off with Patriots Steelers?
Patriots Steelers sounds good because I know both of us
Got that
had the
one wrong.
Steelers. Had the Steelers
Yeah.
in this one. We are going to try to keep some kind of a tally, I think, going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to count up this week's games too, and then keep
Actually,
those, or?
yeah. Let me get a sticky note here, and we'll see it. Here.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and get us started here on this game.
All right.
So looking at New England, you actually were pretty, decent. I mean, not from a fantasy perspective, but you were happy with Mac Jones, 252, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not a bad game for him when Mac Jones throws for 252.
Yeah.
Damian Harris was very serviceable at running back, 71 yards and a touchdown, added 2 catches for 16. Ramondre Stevenson is just he's just playing too much second fiddle to be a useful option right now.
Yeah.
We talked about Jacoby Myers on the show. He ended up going 9 for 95. If you played Jacoby Myers, you were happy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great PPR option going forward too. 13 targets.
Yeah.
Like he's the guy that they're looking for. And Nelson Aguilar, now he did catch all 6 of his targets for 110 and a touchdown. I'm going to say right now I wouldn't read into it too much.
Yeah.
He would be the clear 2 if I had to go for a second guy in this offense, but I would still stick with Jacoby Myers as the safest play.
Yeah, I think 9 for 95 is much more sustainable than 6 for 110 a touch.
Yeah, especially with the 13 targets.
Right. And only getting 6. Next week he might catch 3 of those 6 and only have 25 yards. And
yeah.
I don't know. I agree with you. And for PPR purposes, dude, if you're getting 13 targets every week and if you don't have bricks for hands, you're going to be a PPR goon.
Yeah, not a lot to talk about on the Steelers side of the ball, though. Mitch Trubisky, 168 for a touchdown and an interception. It's almost like they're restraining him a little bit. He's not the greatest, and they're almost trying to keep him as limited as possible in the ways that he can, get the ball out and everything. They're going to have to take the reins off eventually, or they might as well just go ahead and put Kenny Pickett out there.
Yeah.
Najee Harris, you weren't happy with 49 yards. But 5 catches for 40 yards, that adds 9 more points into the fold. You had 13.9 and he didn't fumble or anything like that. So not happy with Najee Harris for where you paid for him. But a weird week coming off of a possible foot injury. You didn't even think you were going to have him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going into next week, you just hope he's healthy.
Yeah. And I think only 15 carries, that feels like he could get more. But also, the 5 receptions might be why he only has, 15 carries. And maybe they were limiting him a little bit, not, limiting his touches just because of the injury.
Yeah, just kind of keep him safe. Deontay Johnson was mediocre, 6 receptions, 57 yards. You didn't cry, but you didn't jump for joy.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than that, it was mainly not George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth. He had 7 targets, which was second on the team. If you're a tight end right now and you're getting targets, pick him up, put him on your team because tight ends are not getting targeted right now. But 4 for 22, but got the touchdown. So saved his day with the touchdown. I was appreciative in the ESPN league, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anybody else that kind of sticks out at you?
Not really. Freiermuth, I think you probably should put it tight end unless you have, like a Travis Kelce. And I'll be honest, I think I might start until Atlanta shows me that they're going to use Kyle Pitts more. I'm playing Pat Freiermuth over Kyle Pitts because Kyle Pitts is getting 2 targets a game for the first 2 games.
Yeah, I think
stupid.
There's going to be a correction at some point on that team, and you never know when it's going to come though. So
yeah.
But New England wins a close one, 17-14. Who do you want to go to next?
Let's see here. We can talk about Panthers and Giants if you want to.
Go ahead. We'll do it. We'll talk about the Panthers first on the losing
right.
side of the ball here. Giants obviously won 19-16 in this one. Panthers fall to 0-2. Baker Mayfield, 145 and a touchdown. 14 for 29. And, if you don't watch the game, you're like, wow, this dude's terrible. Well, I believe he threw at least 6 balls away because he was about to get slaughtered in the backfield.
And I remember at least 3 passes he hit the receiver right here and they dropped it.
Yep,
And
exactly. Just some struggles in Carolina.
I think if you take away the extreme amount of hurries and almost sacks and throwaways and the drop passes, that he's probably more like a 17 for like 25, which is a lot more respectable.
Now, and only getting sacked 2 times was a miracle.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there was so many times that guys come off the edge untouched, and he just got the ball out, just trying to hurry. And he's lucky that he didn't have any interceptions in this one, trying to do that.
Yeah.
Now, Christian McCaffrey, 15 carries for 102, had the 49-yard long run to kind of save the day, so to speak. Didn't find the end zone in this one. Added 4 catches for 26 yards. I know a lot of people are begging the Panthers just to throw the ball to him more instead of just trying to hand it to him 15 times. 15 times is great, but people are saying he needs to have at least 8 receptions a game. DJ Moore got away with a touchdown in this one, 3 for 43 with a touchdown. Robbie Anderson was only 3 for 32. The receiving options aren't looking good in Carolina. Other than Christian McCaffrey right now, you're really feeling shaky about it.
I felt better about DJ Moore this week because I don't know. I just felt like he was involved. There were more passes thrown to him, I think. How many targets did he have this week?
6. He did lead the team in targets.
Yeah. That makes me feel a lot better about him.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to really have trust any fantasy option on the Panthers other than McCaffrey.
It's going to be hard for a playmaker like DJ Moore to have time to get down the field and get open when we don't have time.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield has no time.
Same problem with this team.
Yep, exactly. Over on the Giants side of the ball, they did what they needed to win.
Yep.
And nobody really tore it up. Daniel Jones, 176 and 1. Didn't look terrible though. Had a lot of good third down conversions. Honestly, a lot of short plays. They didn't really go too crazy. He had a 5.2 average depth of target here.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were trying to keep it simple too. Saquon Barkley, 72 yards on the ground. He added 16 yards receiving, had 3 receptions. So you didn't hate your day with Saquon, but a far cry from week 1.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, I don't even want to go there, really. 5 for 51, the highest. And then Sterling Shepard. Now, I will say, if I was going to start a wide receiver from the Giants and absolutely had to, it would be Sterling Shepard because he had 10 targets for this one. Caught 6 balls for 34 yards, but he had 10 targets. He actually got free deep. I remember you said, how is he that open,
Yeah.
He got free deep and they overthrew him.
Yeah.
So could have been a very big day for Sterling Shepard there and just missed. If I was going to start a wide receiver in this, and you watched the game too, I think it would be Sterling Shepard.
Yeah.
For sure. He looks the most serviceable.
Yeah. And I mean, I see he has the most receptions. This, what I'm on right now, doesn't show how many targets. How many targets did he have?
10. He had 10 targets. So
yeah,
he was at least 4 targets ahead of the next closest person.
Yeah, he's probably the only one.
Yeah.
I would even and that's a long shot to start him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It would have to be. I could see a 12-team league having to reach for Sterling Shepard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't see any of us having to reach for him, barring injury and some serious bye week issues.
Yeah.
What would be the next game you would want to cover?
There, you pick one. I'll pick the first 2.
I'm gonna go Jets Browns.
All right.
I'm gonna go Jets Browns because now that is what you call a thriller.
Yeah.
I'll go with the Browns first on the losing end of things. Not a bad game by any means, especially if you had Nick Chubb. But Jacoby Brissett, 229 for a touchdown and interception, but had a very respectable passer rating. 22 for 27, a very respectable completion percentage. Very good.
Yeah.
I felt like he did what he needed to do in this game. Nick Chubb, 87 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt added 58 more, and Brissett actually added 43 more of his own. Cleveland is really rushing the ball well. Now, they did play Carolina's rush defense, which is not very good, and the Jets' rush defense, which we also know is not very good. But I'm telling you, going forward, Cleveland does not play a good rush defense until week 7. So Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt could be in your lineup for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
We corrected the ship in the wide receiver category a little drastically. Amari Cooper,
Yeah.
9 for 101 with a touchdown, 10 targets, had twice as many targets as the next closest person. And our boy, Mr. Outstretched himself, Donovan Peoples-Jones, 1 target, no catches. And that's a feels bad, just so how good he played against the Panthers.
Well, and it's literally like he shouldn't have had a catch against the Panthers, I don't think. He just made like 4 or 5 crazy catches.
Yeah.
On terrible passes from Brissett. It made him look so much better than he was.
And it's almost like this is like one of those situations where you're maybe I don't want to say that he did this or anything, but maybe the coaching staff comes up to Brissett or maybe Amari Cooper approaches somebody and is like, "Hey man, listen, I better be getting that ball."
Yeah, probably.
Hey
Yeah,
man, listen,
probably.
hey, if I ain't got the most targets on the team this week, somebody's in trouble.
Yeah, that's. I
and
mean, maybe
he's fine. He's an athletic guy. Like I understand. Like he 10 targets, 9 receptions. That's a pretty good line.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of done. We already talked about Njoku not being much. He wasn't much again this week, 3 for 32. I think you're already kind of done with him. So, but on the winning side of the ball, and just to be clear, Kareem Hunt, I mean not Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb had 2 touchdowns already. Had a chance to lay down at about the 4 or 5 yard line and then just run out the clock, but instead he just jogs the ball into the end zone.
Yeah, but Colby, that got him up by 2 touchdowns.
I know. Well, a touchdown and not quite enough. Absolutely, I understand. Like, there's no way you could predict that the onside kick is going to go that way. Onside kicks never work, and it just, it fell that way. And Nick Chubb, looking back at it, probably regrets it. But like you said, in the moment, there's nobody on the sideline that was like, yeah, man, I can't believe you didn't lay down right there.
Yeah, right. And I guarantee you, if he laid down and I don't know if they'd have to run a play or not. And if they had to run a play and they threw a pick or they fumbled, they'd have been like, Nick, why'd you lay down there? Why don't you just run that in for that easy touchdown?
If he laid down, all they had to do was kneel 3 times and the clock would have ran out.
Oh, or they don't have any time.
That's what. Yeah, no, that's what the problem is. That's why people are upset. But in the moment, that every Browns fan was freaking out. Yeah, man, we up by 2 touchdowns. Game over.
Yeah, but I mean, I would, if I was a fan, I would rather him run it in, for one, because I want my boy to get some touchdowns, and 2, I mean, you should think with no timeouts and less than it was like less than 2 minutes left, right?
Yeah, it was like a minute 50.
You would just think that Joe Flacco is not gonna clutch this up. I mean, but Joe Flacco has shut me up. I have said for years that this is what's up.
Joe Flacco has the most passing attempts through the first 2 weeks of any quarterback by like 15 attempts or something like that.
Well, that's not counting Josh Allen's tonight.
Well, that's a good point. But you got to think, though. I mean, 52 attempts in the first game and 44 yesterday. The dude's got to be sore. He got to be sore.
My man's been playing from behind every game. He's going to pass all year.
That's true. He's going to pass. And listen, they've got the weapons here. Joe Flacco, 307 and 4. You didn't start him, but you might think about it.
I'm not. It's against the Browns, Colby.
Okay, well, here you go. Next week, they play the Bengals.
Do they have anything on the offensive line? Or the defensive line?
Oh, man, they got enough to get past the Bengals offense.
Hey, I don't doubt that.
All right. Well, anyway, in the backfield, you had Breece Hall, 7 carries for 50 yards. Michael Carter, 7 carries for 23 yards. It's pretty clear who the better back is, but I understand, like, they're easing Breece Hall in, trying to get him going a little bit. Receiving, Garrett Wilson, 8 for 102 and 2 touchdowns on 14 targets. It's some Devontae Adams level targeting right here. A big time pick. He was either 11th or 12th in the draft this past year. So they spent the capital on him. Corey Davis broke free for that freak 66-yard touchdown with less than 2 minutes to go in the game. So his 2 for 83 and a touchdown, you're not reading into that. Now Elijah Moore is the other guy on this, as far as wide receivers that you probably would look at. 3 for 41 on 5 targets. Not the greatest day. They were really just feeding Garrett Wilson. But if Joe Flacco's going to continue to throw the ball 40 plus times, I'm okay with rostering Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, and I actually want to get your and you might not even know this guy, but Tyler Conklin, the tight end, 6 for 40 on 9 targets at tight end.
I mean, if you're weak at tight end, maybe take a chance on him because, I mean, the Jets are going to be passing the ball all year long. They really, I mean, they'll probably go undefeated the rest of the year now that I say that, but they should be losing for most of the year. I mean, really.
Yeah. And they can't stop anybody on defense anyway.
Right. And I mean, if you're weak at tight end, if you don't have, a Travis Kelce or a Darren Waller or someone like that, or a Mark Andrews,
or a Pat, like you probably got a couple guys, right? Like Gerald Everett and Pat Freiermuth are probably like
I would take those two over Conklin.
Yeah, but now Conklin might be a dart throw here.
Yeah, I mean, really, like if you don't like your production from a Dallas Goedert or a Zach Ertz or someone like that,
maybe you had Dalton Schultz. He just got hurt.
Yeah, or Dalton Schultz. Yeah, that's a decent pickup.
Yeah,
right there.
Not even bad. Especially like with tight ends right now, I'm looking for targets.
Yeah,
and 9 targets, that's gonna get it done for me.
And I mean, 6 for 40, he's gonna get more yards probably at some point, but if that's 10 points, and if you're getting 10 points out of your tight end, you're feeling okay about it, especially if it's Tyler Conklin. If Travis Kelce gets you 10 points, you're like, he kind of middled around, but
exactly,
you're happy with 10 with Conklin.
Exactly. But that was, Jets 131-30 in that game. Who you want to go to next?
Shoot.
Couple more 1 o'clocks here.
I don't want to save a certain one for last. So, I mean, we can talk about Colts Jaguars. What a disappointing franchise the Colts are.
Oh, man. Yeah. What you thinking?
I'm thinking that Matt Ryan needs Michael Pittman Jr. back and in a dang hurry.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's going to be enough to make him look good.
Well, I mean, last week, apparently, I think that Pittman might have made him look good last week.
Yeah, or good enough.
Yeah.
Because they were saying, that Matt Ryan didn't even really look good last week, just that Pittman done really well, and that brought him up. But this week, 16 for 30, 195, 3 interceptions, got sacked 5 times, got hurried quite a few more, and just looked plumb pitiful.
Yeah. And also, Jonathan Taylor, 9 carries.
Yeah, that's a feels bad. There's no way, and they're like, oh my God, but they were behind. They had to throw it. Throw it to Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, gosh.
Jonathan Taylor had 1 target, 1 catch for 9 yards.
Like, what sense does it make to get down and not use your best player?
That's exactly right. And there's no way this man shouldn't have had more than 9 carries in the first half while it was still pretty close.
Right.
Now, obviously, Nahim Heinz is the guy that gets most of the targets out of the backfield. He only had 4 for 37, which is a very good clip.
Well, I mean, you got to think Matt Ryan only had 55% completion percentage, or
something
50,
like that.
50-something%.
16 completions ain't a lot to go around.
No,
and so Michael Pittman was out. Paris Campbell became the number 1 wide receiver. Had 2 targets late in the game with no receptions. Put me the big old goose on Yahoo. So anybody that's like, oh well, he's just they just said Paris Campbell. Well, I started him too. So you're not looking at any of these other wide receivers. It's Michael Pittman. It's Jonathan Taylor, and it's sad to say that I think that might be where it stops.
Yeah, that's where it stops, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's just not good right now. Matt Ryan, put him on the shelf, and let him sit in free agency and let somebody else try to take a chance on when Matt Ryan's going to turn it around.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, though, we had a second-year quarterback look pretty dang good in Mr. Trevor Lawrence. 25 for 30, 235, and 2. And I think you even mentioned it. Almost toward the end of the first half, you were like, man, Colby, Trevor Lawrence looked good.
Yeah, he really
Trevor
did.
Lawrence is throwing the ball really well. And, just how well he did throw the ball. Christian Kirk, 6 for 78 and 2 touchdowns. Evan Ingram, 7 for 46. Then you had three more guys with three apiece. Marvin Jones Jr., Travis Etienne, and Zay Jones all had 3 catches apiece. There was plenty of love to go around because he was really, really being efficient out there.
Yeah.
That's another
And
tight end we could talk about right there. Evan Ingram, 7 catches for 46 yards on 8 targets.
yeah, and I think if you're getting 7 catches, he's going to get more than 46 yards a lot of times.
Yeah.
I think. But still, though, even if he doesn't, 11.6 points out of tight end, you're okay with that.
Yeah, and the thing with Evan Ingram has always been, can he stay healthy? And
Yeah.
right now it seems like he started the year as healthy as he ever has.
Yeah.
Now you've got some stock in this running back room here, and how are you feeling right now with the split in carries, so to speak?
Well, I wish that Etienne was getting, the 23 carries instead of James Robinson. But,
Yep.
I mean, when I drafted Etienne, I knew he wouldn't be, probably one of my starting running backs. I didn't think he would be.
No, not off
But
the bat, no.
no. But I kind of was hoping it's like maybe an injury puts him at the number 1 running back and he can, I don't know, play good. But 9 carries for 20 yards. He ain't playing good when he gets the chance. But heck, neither is James Robinson. He averaged 2.8 a carry and Etienne averaged 2.2.
Yeah, Robinson had that 37-yard touchdown too, so that boosted the numbers too.
So he was 22 carries for what's 64 minus 37? Like 20, 28, 27?
27.
22 carries for 27 yards. If you take away his 37-yard touchdown run,
Yep.
that's pitiful. Really?
Yeah, no, neither one of these running backs looking the best in this one. Now, the Indianapolis Colts a very serviceable defense, but
Yeah.
Jaguars were able to get it done through the air. So you're surprised that they probably even got that many carries, being that just not dependable.
Right.
But right now, as far as Travis Etienne goes, I don't know if you try to sell him as a piece, in a trade, like, hey, maybe this guy could be good for you. Maybe he's going to be the starter by the end of the year. Or maybe you just try to roster James Robinson and play him until ETN is ready. I don't know. Like, you can obviously, if you can wait, I would wait. I wouldn't write him off just yet. Other teams have got their rookies breaking out right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just hold your breath.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really plan on starting him until either A, he has a couple breakout games, or B, I need to start him because someone has a bye week.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I would say hold on to him unless you absolutely, absolutely need to drop him for someone else.
Yeah, if you just have no choice.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna go Buccaneers Saints next
Okay.
because I feel like that one was pretty lame.
But
So
it
we
had some
find out.
excitement in it at the
Well,
end.
yeah, and what we found out after kickoff that Jameis Winston has 4 fractures in his back and is wearing extra pads for those fractures, and that's obviously going to change what you think about some of these wide receivers. Now, some of them still did very, very good, so you probably didn't feel too bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
But Jameis Winston, 236, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Who knows how much of that? Plus, he got sacked 6 times in this game with his back already hurt. Alvin Kamara was obviously out in this one, so that hurts the offense. Mark Ingram had 10 carries for 60 yards, very serviceable, 6 yards per carry. They gave a couple other guys some carries and stuff like that, nothing really to write home about. On the receiving side, Chris Olave emerges to the top with 13 targets, 5 for 80. But Michael Thomas is still the touchdown man, 6 for 65 with a touchdown, 9 targets. I think that it's pretty safe to say that Michael Thomas is the favorite in the red zone to get the touchdowns.
And I think he needs to be your flex, but as long as he is still saved for the end zone, I think you have to have him in your lineup every week. Because if he's going to be the one guy they're throwing to in the end zone, or they're trying to throw to in the end zone, you need to have him on your team.
Absolutely, and I don't know how to feel about Jarvis Landry. Coming down to earth moment, 4 for 25 on 5. I don't know. I just feel like the better Olave plays, the worse Landry's going to be.
Yeah.
Because Olave gives them, just a lot of threat. Like, he was a part of that, like, that little trio of wide receiver picks right there where Garrett Wilson went too. Olave went like 11th or 12th, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So if you've got Olave, you're happy. If you got Michael Thomas, you're happy. If you got Jarvis Landry, you're hoping he has another big week, and then I'd probably just move him.
And I honestly, what are the Saints doing if Jameis just can't play? Drew Brees coming out of retirement?
No, they might try to play Taysom Hill back there again. Yeah, and just run the ball the whole game.
That hurts my heart a little bit. Jameis Winston, we're wishing you a speedy recovery, my friend.
Yeah, no, can't make it worse, but it'd look better if it was better.
Yeah.
Buccaneers on the other side. Tom Brady, 18 for 34, might be one of the lower passer ratings, pass completions percentages of his career.
Yeah.
190 yards, touchdown. Didn't have to do much, but wasn't really able to do much either.
Yeah.
His defense, the defense for the Saints was just the real deal. Leonard Fournette had 24 carries for 65 yards, so he's trying to get it done. And then as far as receiving goes, Mike Evans gets ejected. He only has 3 receptions for 61 yards before he gets ejected. And then the number 2 wide receiver, Russell Gage, catches 5 balls for 28 yards. Not exactly something to get all excited about.
No, the Buccaneers are they're not clicking right now, I don't think. Not on all cylinders. They're 2-0, but they've won 2 kind of just ugly games. They just didn't play that great to me.
Yeah, no, they don't look like themselves.
Yeah.
They're lucky that, they started out 2-0 not looking like themselves, though, because they can get it figured out,
Right. And once they get some of these guys that are hurt back, I think that might help a little bit too.
Yeah. So next week, Mike Evans has actually been suspended for 1 game for his running onto the field and drilling Marshawn Lattimore and getting ejected or whatever. He does this pretty much every time they play each other, at least once a year. But he's going to get he's going to get suspended for 1 game. So, you might have Julio Jones, you might not. You might have Chris Godwin, you might not.
Yeah.
So, heck, Russell Gage could climb up the chart here and be the number 1 wide receiver next week. You never know.
Yeah. Who do the Buccaneers have next week?
Okay, the Buccaneers.
Oh, they play the Chiefs. Oh no, it's not the Chiefs. They play the Packers next week.
Packers. And Leonard Fournette will see a lot of action in that one because David Montgomery run all over the Packers last night.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, also Leonard Fournette said he tweeted out today that he was sorry to all of his fantasy owners because he said the touchdowns are coming. They're coming.
They're coming. He said he promised them. Promised them for Christmas. As far as the next game, do you want to cover Lions Commanders?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I called it. I said that the Lions would win. Luke Price and Paige Price, we are here.
I'm gonna go ahead and just say right now, Luke, I've said this before. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pull the Shaq here. I was not familiar with Amon-Ra St. Brown's game. That man is gonna be a top 5 wide receiver in football by the end of the year, in most people's eyes, if he keeps this crap up.
It's ridiculous right now,
dude. He's nuts.
And we'll just go to the Lions side of the ball so we can talk about it.
All right.
Lions win this one 36-27. You thought it was going to be a complete blowout. Redskins start scoring some touchdowns and cause the Lions to actually have to continue to score.
Yeah.
And that just changes everything because at one point it was 22-0.
Yeah.
And they could have just, the Lions could pack it in, barely run it here and there, keep punting the ball, whatever. But Redskins score again. Now it's a 1-score game. Now the Lions have to go, then the Redskins go again, then the Lions go again, then the Redskins go again. And as a fantasy owner, you're just smiling, just like, oh my God, oh my guys are scoring. But Jared Goff, 256-4. You didn't start him, but by granted, you might think about it in the future. 256 is not something you should get excited about. No. I mean, 4 touchdowns, okay, but throwing for 256, you're not going to always have an opportunity for 4 touchdowns. As far as rushing the ball, Amon-Ra St. Brown actually had 2 carries for 68 yards. Now, one of them was for 58 yards. The other one was for 10. DeAndre Swift, limited action because of his ankle injury. 5 for 56. He had the 50-yard long. Jamal Williams had the lion's share of the work, literally. 12 carries, 53 yards, 4.4, 4.4 a carry. He's not a bad running back.
Yeah.
It's just DeAndre Swift just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. And also DeAndre Swift, 2 receptions for 31 and a touchdown.
Yep, that 22-yard touchdown really, really helped him
Mm-hmm.
out. Talk about the man of the hour, though, as far as receiving goes for the Lions.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, I should just refer to him as better than Cooper Kupp or something. But 9 receptions, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pops off for the second straight week. I mean, if you are an Amon-Ra St. Brown owner, you are feeling amazing about yourself.
Absolutely, and especially like we were talking about it earlier in our Yahoo league. He only went for $12 in the Yahoo league.
Yeah.
And then in certain leagues, I'm not sure quite what his draft capital was. But you got him outside of the 5th most likely. And he's doing what he's doing. He swore up and down that he was going to make it happen this year, and he is. Other than him, TJ Hawkinson was only 3 for 26, but he had 7 targets. The offense is scoring. They are going against teams that they can score against. Next week it's the Vikings. The Vikings don't have the greatest defense. After that it's the Seahawks. Then they do run into the Patriots, though I worry about that defense a little bit. They go to the Cowboys. I worry about that pass rush. But they're going to be in some games that they're really going to have to score a lot. So they're going to take a lot of chances passing the ball. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift out of the backfield, and TJ Hawkinson hopefully starts finding the end zone a little bit for you.
Yeah.
But that's what we got on the Lions side of the ball. We'll go to the Redskins side, and
Commanders.
for back-to-back Commanders. God, I keep doing that. I'm sorry. But on the Commanders side of the ball, Carson Wentz 337 for 3 and 1 interception. Another good week. Another good week for Carson Wentz.
And 30 for 46 is very respectable too.
He's streamable for sure. Next week they play the Eagles.
The Eagles have a terrible defense.
I would feel good about starting Carson Wentz in that game because the Eagles are going to score points.
Oh yeah.
Now Antonio Gibson 14 carries for 28 yards. You didn't like it, but snuck in a touchdown there to make yourself feel better about it. That's all as far as the running back room right now. And now I'm going to say something, and I want you to tell me if I'm crazy. Can you start 3 different wide receivers for the Washington Redskins right now?
Yes.
It is wild coming into the season. People only had Terry McLaurin. A lot of people never even drafted Curtis Samuel or Jahan Dotson. Curtis Samuel might be the best one to start right now.
I'm going to be honest, there might be 4 I'm willing to start.
And who was the last one?
J.D. McKissick.
Well, see, J.D. McKissick is actually, the backup running back to Antonio Gibson. So J.D. McKissick is getting all of those catches out of the backfield, and he does it quite often.
And if Antonio Gibson keeps up his 2 yards of rush here, he might not be getting all them carries.
Yeah, no. When Brian Robinson comes back from the serious situation that he had to deal with there, when he comes back, I could see a changing of the guard, and maybe it's a 3-headed backfield with J.D. McKissick still getting the third down work.
Yeah.
So, if they're coming from behind like they were in this game, McKissick's going to have stat lines that look like this. But Curtis Samuel, 7 for 78 with a touchdown. Love it. 9 targets. Terry McLaurin, 4 for 75. You didn't feel bad. 8 targets. He was right behind Samuel. It's not like Terry McLaurin's still the one in this offense. Yeah. He's still the most talented wide receiver in this offense.
Yeah.
And then Jahan Dotson, 4 for 59 and 1. And last week he had 2, but he's making the most of the targets that he is getting.
Yeah.
It's crazy how, and next week they play the Eagles. You could start these guys for sure and not feel bad about it. And then the last 1:00 game, if I'm not mistaken, Nick, that we have not talked about is Dolphins-Ravens.
Yeah.
And this is the one you were waiting on.
This is game of the week, in my opinion. So far, anyways. There's 2
and
games tonight.
Everybody thought it was too. Everybody thought this was going to be a crazy game.
I thought in terms of talent on both sides, it was the most competitive game. And boy, did they just show out and go above everybody's expectations.
Yep. Just to be clear, it was 35-14 going into the fourth quarter. At one point, it was 28-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins come back to win this game. Do you want to talk about the Ravens first or the Dolphins?
Actually, I have quite a few Dolphins players throughout my league, so I'll talk about them a little bit.
All right. Well, if you want to go ahead.
Now I have Tua on my bench in the ESPN league this week. Unfortunately,
and I think you had to. The Baltimore secondary is supposed to be the real deal,
and
they are the real deal. Really not. They're the real deal on giving you some fantasy points. They'll give you the real deal.
But I mean, Tua, 36 completions on 50 attempts, 469 yards, 6 tuds, and 2 picks. Now I will say he did hit 2 defenders in stride, I think.
Yeah,
and it was kind of bad.
He did. I think he connected with Marcus Williams twice, in fact.
Yeah. And, Raheem Mostert, 11 carries, 51 yards. For the carries, that's good. 4.6 a carry is pretty good.
Yeah.
But when you look down here at the receiving, you see why he only got those 11 carries.
Yeah, hard to give the ball to somebody when you've got 2 absolute studs like these guys.
Tyreek Hill, 11 receptions, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, 11 receptions, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. You are loving yourself if you were playing Jalen Waddle. Everyone's playing Tyreek Hill. If you got Tyreek Hill, you're playing him.
Yeah.
But not everyone is playing Jalen Waddle, and I think after this week, they won't be sitting him for a little while.
Absolutely not. Now, do you see the targets on both of those guys?
I don't see the targets.
Just to be clear, Tyreek Hill had 13 targets, had those 11 receptions. Jalen Waddle had 19 targets on those 11 receptions for 171 and 2. And the Dolphins are targeting the players that are the best on the field. I'm so sick of these people spreading the ball around to Johnny Nobody out here just to give him a touch.
But if you look at some of the better teams or the teams that find success with their star players, they build their offense around them, like the Rams with Cup. Or the 49ers with Debo. They want to get their best player the ball so he can make a play.
Yep.
And they're doing it. When you're getting what was the total? 32 targets between Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle out of Tua's 50. Dude, you're gonna have big weeks all the time out of these guys.
Absolutely. And I don't think I would get excited at all about Mike Gesicki's 4 targets, 4 receptions, 41 yards, and a touchdown. When there's this many passes to go around, he's bound to get something. You know, I don't think I'm getting excited about that. But now Raheem Mostert might be a stash with, taking over the carries, and he actually had more receptions than Chase Edmonds as well. He's always been a talent for the 49ers, but just never really could materialize because of injuries.
Yeah.
We might have to wait to talk about the Ravens after the patch here. We'll go ahead and talk about the Ravens side of the ball now. And on the Ravens side of the ball, if you started Lamar Jackson, you felt pretty good about it. Because
I think if you take Lamar, you have to start him. He's
he done well at quarterback. He done well at running back. I'm surprised he wasn't out there at wide receiver. Because 318 and 3 throwing, 119 and 1 running,
rushing
with a 79-yard touchdown run. When you got guys like Kenyon Drake, Justice Hill, Mike Davis trying to run the ball, I guess he got tired of watching that, and he said, "Boys, let me just show you what you're gonna do with the ball right here. You're gonna take it, and you're gonna put it in the end zone." But that's all I have to talk about with the passing and the rushing. The Ravens are really just waiting on J.K. Dobbins to get back as far as running the ball.
Yeah.
As far as receiving, though, you had several good options. Rashad Bateman, 4 for 108 and a touchdown, had the 75-yard slant that he took to the house. Had 7 targets, though. He's a very respectable play right now.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews, he's in everybody's lineup. 9
Oh yeah.
receptions, 104, 1 on 11 targets, easily led in targets. So I think that's kind of where you stop. Duvernay kind of got hurt. He only had 2 for 42. Did have a kickoff return for a touchdown, so you would have got those 6 points.
Yeah.
But I think after Andrews and Bateman, we need to kind of chill with the passing attack here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when Dobbins gets back, you'll start him probably, unless he's getting like limited touches.
Yeah.
But Lamar, you're starting every week. Bateman is probably in your flex or wide receiver 3.
Yep.
Maybe. And then Mark Andrews, if you've got him on your team, he's at tight end unless it's a bye week.
Yeah, now the Ravens do play the Patriots next week, so a little bit of a tougher defense. Then after that, they have games against the Bills. They're going to have to throw the ball a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
They have game against the Bengals. And, if Rashad Bateman's lined up across Eli Apple, they got a pretty good chance
Don't
there.
talk about Eli Apple.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. But anyway, Dolphins win that one 42-38 in a crazy, crazy game down the stretch.
That really was a crazy, crazy game. And, really, the Dolphins scored 28 in the fourth quarter, and the Ravens only scored 3.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And it was just a bunch of bomb plays too.
And Tyreek Hill got behind the defense like 2 or 3 times in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and you always question yourself. You're like, well, how does this guy do? How in the world are they letting this guy back? I don't think they have a choice.
They don't have a choice. He is the fastest person in the NFL, I think.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. Like, he was like 20 yards ahead of those people, it felt like.
The only person, him getting behind the defense, the only person that got somewhere faster was Michael Parsons getting to Joe Burrow.
Shut up. I hate you.
All right, well, let's go on down the hill here. Let's talk about Rams versus Falcons, because to be a game that I thought was in hand, it actually ended up being pretty close.
The Falcons are like both of the NFL teams I like. They refuse to just get whooped like a normal bad team.
Yeah.
The Bengals I don't think are an actual bad team. They just have a horrific offensive line. But the Panthers are bad, but they find a way to get down early and come back and get your fans back in it, and then they just break your heart at the end.
Yeah.
But gosh, Falcons almost had it, but I'm seeing the same reaction from all the Falcons fans I know. They think Arthur Smith needs to go and Marcus Mariota can go with him.
Yeah.
And
that's going to happen when you have a highly touted athlete like Desmond Ridder sitting on the bench.
Yep.
Marcus Mariota, 196 for 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Not much to write home about there. Cordarrelle Patterson, 10 for 41. The big story here, probably the rookie running back, Tyler Algier, 10 carries for 30 yards right behind Patterson. So you might see a little changing of the guard as we go forward. And Cordarrelle Patterson may just kind of have to take the receiving role out of the backfield. And then as far as receiving itself, Drake London, the rookie, right there, drafted with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave in that 10, 11, 12. 8 catches, 86 yards, 1 touchdown on 12 targets. Now, quadrupled the targets of the next closest person.
You started Drake London. You felt real good about it.
Yep, and I think you feel real good about it going forward. Even with Marcus Mariota as his quarterback, I just don't think, I think Drake London is almost a weekly play at this point. Next week they play the Seahawks, then they play the Browns. Then you might get into some tougher matchups there, but and Kyle Pitts, you're just not feeling good about it right now. So I need a resident Kyle Pitts owner to tell me how they're feeling about 3 targets, 2 for 19.
I ain't a Kyle Pitts owner, but I can tell you if I was, he's getting.
We need to call CJ. We need to call CJ.
Calling him in here.
He'll say that Kyle Pitts is just fine.
He probably will, and that's why I ain't inviting CJ in here. But and I think Kyle Pitts himself is fine, but I like that they're giving Drake London attention because he deserves it. But Kyle Pitts needs some of that love too. He's a freak athlete. He's a playmaker, and he can't make plays if you don't give him the ball.
Yeah, no, I'm not hitting the panic button on Kyle Pitts just yet. I know that's back-to-back rough weeks. Give it some time. Let Marcus Mariota figure it out here just a little bit. You will see Kyle Pitts and Drake London as the 2 main guys to start in this offense for sure for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you'll see. But we can go over to the side of the Rams here. The winning team, 31-27. Matt Stafford righting the ship just a little bit here. 272-3. Still had 2 interceptions though. You feel a little better about it though. You can't help but feel a little bit better. The backfield gets weird. Darrell Henderson 10 for 47 with a touchdown. That's great. 4.7 per carry with a touchdown. Beautiful. Force feed Cam Akers 15 carries for 44 yards, 2.9 a carry. Now, Nick, I know how you feel about Mr. Cam Akers.
I have about the same opinion on him as I have with Austin Eckler. I don't like them. I don't think that they are as good as everyone thinks they are. They should not be first round picks, especially if you have any top 5 receivers still on the board.
Yeah, no.
And I know everyone's draft's over, but still, I just think that's how it should have been.
I think CJ took Cam Akers in the back of the 3rd. And Darrell Henderson was picked up in free agency after the draft was over. So that's what you're looking at here. And Darrell Henderson was clearly the better back in this one. He had 5 less carries, but he was the better back. As far as receptions, now Cam Akers did add 2 for 18, but as far as receptions, it was about these other 3 guys. Cooper Kupp 11 for 108 and 2. Almost didn't have 2. Allen Robinson actually almost had the 2nd touchdown, but it got called off for a medical timeout. And then Cooper Kupp was the guy that got the touchdown the very next play. Tyler Higbee is a tight end that maybe you could look at. 7 for 71 on 9 targets. Possibility. There's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Allen Robinson, 4 for 53 with a touchdown. He comes back for you. You feel good about it, and I think you continue to feel good about starting him going forward.
I agree with that. I honestly, going forward until Atlanta shows me that they're going to give Kyle Pitts the ball, I would start Tyler Higbee over him every single week.
I mean, you might have to wait and see when that 1 week is, because I feel like when the switch is flipped, it will be flipped for good. But you might have to if you've got a guy like Higbee or Gerald Everett or Pat Freiermuth or just some of these guys that are getting a lot of targets, 7, 8, 9 targets a game, getting 60, 70 yards, maybe 40 yards and a touchdown on average. Those guys just, you want to start them right now. And you paid up for Kyle Pitts. He was a 3rd tight end off the board in most leagues. I mean, at some point, you do have to say, what's the safe play? Because I can't keep getting nothing.
Yeah, and I think either A, you hold on to him until he does finally get the ball, and they finally show that they're going to keep giving him the ball, or you try and trade him now or in the near future and get something out of him for now that if you need it. Yeah. If you're okay without Kyle Pitts being a super stud for you, then I'd say just definitely hold on to him.
Yeah. But are you looking to target Kyle Pitts in trades? Are you going after the Kyle Pitts owner right now, or are you just trying to stay out of that?
No, I'm staying away from Kyle Pitts.
I mean, if you're going to buy him low, this is the lowest you're going to buy him.
Right. After back-to-back, just pitiful showings. I guess it's not his fault that he didn't get the ball thrown to him, but
yeah.
I mean, and Arthur Smith keeps saying like just the stupidest things when when he gets asked why they aren't getting Kyle Pitts the ball more. He's like, this ain't fantasy football. We're just trying to win games.
That's what he said. Playmaker. It is what he said. If you're trying to win games, I thought you're the best player on the field.
Right. Thank you. Colby, that just makes too much sense,
Yeah, I fully own that. We're going to throw it to whoever else we can here. But no, I'm ready to move on if you are.
All right.
I'm looking 49ers Seahawks next. The return of the sweetest looking man in the NFL, Mr. Jimmy G. If he ain't on the cover of every magazine in San Francisco this morning, I don't know who is, because they are 1-1 now, and they are filling them some Jimmy G. Now, real quick though, we do feel bad about the Trey Lance situation. A young quarterback, broken ankle, couple different bones they had to repair in surgery. So you never want to see that out of a young mobile quarterback. This is the kind of stuff that happened to guys like Robert Griffin III, and we saw it happen to Dak, and Dak has even said that. There's certain kinds of cleats that he still can't wear because it's still uncomfortable for that ankle that he hurt. And Dak wasn't really a guy that really just took off and ran like crazy either. So, but in this one, Jimmy G comes in 154-1. He also rushed in a touchdown, so he took a page out of Trey Lance's book and said, "Let me take this one in myself."
Yeah.
My name is Jeff Wilson. 18 carries, 84 yards. You felt good about it if you picked him up on the waiver wire. He added 2 receptions for 19.
Mm-hmm.
Not crazy, but good enough.
Yep.
I will say though, 18 carries. Tyrone Davis Price, a rookie, back end of the draft or either undrafted, one or the other. He had 14 carries for 33 yards. Not efficient by any means, but it does say something that they were trying so hard to get him the ball.
Yeah. But it confuses me why Debo isn't getting the most touches on the field every single game for the most part. Like
Yeah.
I don't think they needed it in this game.
Yeah, I think that might have something to do with it in this one. Yeah, they probably hand him the ball more when they get up big, if it was an even game instead of a game they got up big in.
Right. I can see why they didn't overuse in this game because I mean the Seahawks only scored 7 points.
Yep.
Actually, and somehow I don't know why you thought the Seahawks would win. Like I thought the Seahawks week 1 was a total fluke.
No, sir. Let's not say that because we can pull up the video.
Nah.
You said, I said that the Seahawks. He said they could win. They could.
Well, the Panthers could win, but they aren't going to for like 7 more weeks.
It's a weird situation where we didn't see good things out of the 49ers, and I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. The 49ers are a better football team right now with Jimmy G. This is a team that could go to the Super Bowl. They've got the talent. Like, they really do. They've got the talent. They almost made it to the Super Bowl last year. They've still got the same talent that they had. Jimmy G, if he plays consistent, and that's the big thing with Jimmy G, consistency, they're going to make a playoff run for sure.
Yeah. And again, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to talk about receiving, but go ahead and say what you were going to say.
And I do think that playoff run relies on using Deebo Samuel when you need to.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you just
almost overusing Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
But as far as Deebo, you were fine. 53 yards rushing, that's 5.3. 5 catches, that's 5 more points, and then 44 yards receiving. So he had around the 14 to 15 point mark. Yeah. You felt fine with that. Yeah. Brandon Ayuk is a player that I would look for on waiver wires this week because Jimmy G is going to be more apt to get him the ball as well. 5 receptions, 63 yards. That's only 11.3 points. But if you're in a deeper league and you need a guy and you're just not, you want to take a guy that might turn into something more, Brandon Ayuk could be that guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, not many passing attempts to go around in this one because they really started handling the Seahawks pretty early.
Yeah.
As far as the Seahawks side of the ball, this will be a pretty swift conversation. Geno Smith, 197, no touchdowns and an interception. Okay. That's kind of where Geno's going to lie. He's going to be around the 200-yard mark maybe. Might throw a touchdown, might not. If he throws 2, you're really, really feeling good about it if you're Seattle. But the running backs might have been the worst part of all this. Rashad Penny, 6 carries for 15 yards. Kenneth Walker makes his NFL debut, 4 carries, 10 yards. He looked like he might have had a little something in the tank, but you're not feeling good about either one of those guys. You're definitely not starting either one of them going forward. Tyler Lockett was the wide receiver of the day, 9 for 107 on 11 targets. But I just don't think that you can say, okay, next week, Tyler Lockett, he's in my lineup. I don't think you can say that. And I mean, It's not like they play the Falcons. You should be able to say that. You should be able to say, hey, DK Metcalf, he's in my lineup. But you can't do that. DK, 4 receptions, 35 yards. Last week it was 7 receptions, 36 yards. Like, what do we do? What do you do with these wide receivers right now, Nick? Are you holding on? Or are you – I mean, you're not cutting DK Metcalf. But
no, but for one, don't draft them. Don't draft any – I don't care how freakishly athletic they are.
You knew the situation.
Yeah.
You knew it.
You knew that Geno Smith is not going to be anything close to what Russell Wilson was.
Yep.
Especially for these wide receivers.
Russell Wilson's nowhere close to what Russell Wilson
was. That's a good point. Honestly, I might rather have Geno this year. I might rather have Geno this year than Russell Wilson.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
No, just not feeling good about it right now. I think you're trying your best to keep DK out of your lineup right now if you can. and just sit. You just got to sit on him for a couple more weeks and see, but I just don't know.
But I mean, like, how many targets did DK have?
DK had, let me pull back up here.
He couldn't have had many more than he had receptions because
Had
Jalen Smith
6.
was 24 for 30.
6.
You still,
6.
like, 6 receptions, or I mean, 6 targets. That doesn't make you feel good about DK.
No, 11 targets for Lockett made you feel really good, but last week
Yeah.
Lockett didn't have any targets.
Right.
So you can't play this game. Like, you just want to stay away from this game as much as possible. We can go on. We'll go to Denver and Houston next, if that's okay.
Follow me.
Since I was already talking the smack on Mr. Russell Wilson. But we've got to talk about Davis Mills first on the Houston side of the ball. 177, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Mr. Keep It Safe himself, 19 for 38. It's not going to get much better. Davis Mills was not drafted to be the quarterback of this team.
Yeah.
He is the quarterback of this team because of the Deshaun Watson saga that we all went through. And I see Houston finishing with a pretty rough record this year and moving on at quarterback. There will be a move for one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. Now, one thing you are happy about is if you're a Dameon Pierce owner. 15 carries for 69 yards. Not great, but Rex Burkhead, who was the lead running back last week, no carries. Not a single carry in this game. Dameon Pierce gets the full brunt of the workload. They realized what they were doing. They said, hey, maybe, we should give the rookie the carries instead of the guy who's on his way out of the league.
Yeah.
As far as receiving goes, nobody impressed you. Brandon Cooks is a guy that you might have had starting. I know I did. 4 for 54. He got you 9 points on 10 targets. Now, actually, he got Nico Collins actually had 9 targets, 4 receptions, 58 yards. Don't think you're reading into that one too much. Brandon Cooks is just about the only wide receiver that I would feel good playing in this. And I'm not feeling great about it.
Yeah, so I wouldn't feel great about Brandon Cooks, but he might be, he's the only person on this
He's a
team
consistency play for sure. You know that you're going to get around 10, 11, 12 points probably. And that's going to be good enough for you.
Yeah.
On the Broncos side of the ball, Russell Wilson, 219, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 14 for 31. That's where you got to really just.
That might be like the worst game of Russell Wilson's career.
Well, now I will say, apparently there was mention that the play calling is so out of order and so distraught that by the time he gets to the line, he literally has like 5 seconds before every play to like read the defense and see what he's going to do and then just go. So obviously they just need to clean it up coaching wise as well. Javonte Williams, 15 carries for 75. That's very efficient. Melvin Gordon, 10 for 47. That's also very efficient. Not, crazy, but you feel pretty good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of these guys got in the end zone, so you're not feeling great about their day. But from an efficiency standpoint, these two guys are getting it done in the backfield. Receiving wise, this is where things could get interesting. Mr. Jerry Jeudy went down with an injury in this game. I know we're worried about that one.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton capitalized on said matters. 7 receptions, 122 on 11 targets. After that,
not much of nothing.
Nope. Yeah.
Everyone else other than Tyree Cleveland, who had 2 receptions for 28, just had 1 reception or no receptions.
Now, I will say Javonte Williams still had 4 targets out of the backfield, but only had 1 catch for 10 yards. So they're still trying to throw him the ball. Javonte's a play every week. You can't sit Javonte. You definitely got him in. Cortland might be the only wide receiver you're playing for a couple weeks.
Yeah, as long as Jerry Jeudy's out, Cortland Sutton's the only person on this team I think you're playing other than maybe Javonte Williams.
I'm not taking a stab at finding out who the number 2 wide receiver is here.
No. Not after this nice little 14 for 31 showing.
Yeah. I think they just need to get it together a little bit in general.
Yeah.
Well, are you ready to rip a Band-Aid off?
I reckon.
Dallas Cowboys get the 20-17 win over the Bengals. We'll run over the Bengals line here real quick. Joe Burrow, 199-1. It's just not enough. And when you get sacked 6 times for 34 yards, that's probably got something to do with it.
How many hurries did he have? Tell me how many hurries he had.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have the stat, and if I did have the stat, it'd only make you madder.
I want to get mad. I want to get mad about it again. I went to
All
bed
right,
mad
man.
about it. I woke up mad about it. I was talking mad to people at work about it today.
Yep,
I
because
ain't been nothing but mad about this team this year.
I think they said it was like 70-something million dollars they spent on the offensive line.
Give
And
it to me, and I guarantee I can do the same thing they're doing by myself.
yep,
They're just letting
exactly.
defenders run right by them every
Yeah,
play.
I told my dad on the phone earlier because he's a Cowboys fan. I said when they snapped the ball, Micah Parsons had either the left tackle or the right tackle in the chin of Joe Burrow immediately. It wasn't even like he
It was
had
just
2
sad to
seconds.
watch.
It was bad, and DeMarcus Lawrence was on the other side doing the same thing. So just a bad showing altogether again from the offensive line here. Joe Burrow just has no time to do anything.
Yep.
Joe Mixon, 19 carries for 57.
That hurts.
That hurts too. Now T. Higgins had a pretty good day, 6 receptions, 71 yards and a touchdown in a game we didn't know if he was going to play in.
Yeah.
10 targets. You still feel good about Jamar Chase. 5 for 54, but he had 9 targets.
I'll say this. Jamar's MO is down the field, and Burrow ain't had time to get it down the field.
You're right.
And until, I mean, you're playing Jamar. You can't not play Jamar Chase. Same thing with T. Higgins and Joe Mixon. But right now, on weeks that there's a good pass rush, don't start Joe Burrow. And I'm the biggest Joe Burrow stan in the world. Don't start him.
Yeah,
I'm not.
You paid up for Joe Burrow, and I think it's time to sit him for just a minute.
Yeah. Well, now next week, I'd say leave him in because he's playing the Jets.
Probably. Joe Mixon added 3 for 26 through the air.
Yeah.
Hayden Hurst is an interesting one. I actually liked what he was doing in this game. 5 at the tight end position, 5 receptions for 24 yards, but he had 7 targets. Nothing really down the field, but right now at tight end, you might just be looking for receptions. Like, hey, that's a point. Okay, that's another point. That's another point, you know? But other than that, that's pretty much where it stops for the Bengals. We'll go over and talk about the Cowboys. And Nick, you were making some Cooper Rush comparisons during the game on Sunday. Do you want to tell who you were comparing Cooper Rush to?
I don't even remember, dude.
Joe Montana. Joe Montana. Nick said that Cooper Rush on the first couple drives there was prime Joe Montana.
That's what he
looked.
That's what he looked like, dude.
But 235-1, he did enough to get Dallas the win. It was pretty obvious that they got up and then they were like, maybe our defense can just like hold them enough to where we don't have to try to do anything else. Yeah. And then they ended up having to do something else. Still got the field goal and won the game. Zeke 15 for 53, not his most efficient day by any means, but they're keen on the run in this one for sure. Tony Pollard 9 for 43 with a touchdown, a little more efficient than Zeke, had the long touchdown run, the 17-yarder. But again, I don't think that Zeke's in danger or anything of losing his spot at the top.
No.
As far as receiving goes, Noah Brown 5 for 91 and a touchdown. I don't think it's time to go pick up Noah Brown or anything. I think it, just just be a little relaxed. Let's not get too excited on Noah Brown. You are feeling good, though, about CeeDee Lamb. 7 for 75, 11 targets. That feels a lot better.
Yeah.
Everyone who had CeeDee Lamb exhaled after the game. Tony Pollard added 4 for 55 to his lines on 7 targets. That's a lot of targets for Tony Pollard, considering Zeke only had 2 out of the backfield. Dalton Schultz hurt his knee in this one. Don't know the extent of that damage yet. We will let you know. 2 for 18 before he got hurt. Not good. Not a good look there. You're definitely on the waiver wire trying to find somebody. It's going to be an extended absence, I believe.
And hey, look, if you are, we just mentioned like 4 or 5 guys that are good options at tight end.
That are probably on the waiver wire.
Yeah, they really probably are. Gerald Everett, I think, was on the waiver wire in 2 of the 3 leagues, and I picked him up in both leagues.
Yeah, exactly. And I know for a fact that guys like Conklin and Higbee and just these other guys that they've got to be on the waiver wire.
Yeah, somewhere.
Right now. You're looking for opportunity right now. But I am more than ready to move on to another wild game if you are.
Okay.
In the Cardinals and Raiders.
Yeah.
And this one, I thought this game was over. Because
you remember
I took that little nap. When I went to sleep, it was 20-0. And I thought the game was over, man. The Cardinals looked pitiful. And then, 29-23 in overtime. Hunter Renfrow had to duck his head walking out of the stadium. Poor feller had to. No way he didn't. Has a concussion now. Did get diagnosed with a concussion. So he got rocked. I mean, he really did on that play. So him laying there wasn't just like upset about the fumble. Like he got rocked. He got cleaned. But on the offensive side of the ball for the Raiders, Derek Carr 252 and 2. Can't be mad at Derek Carr.
No.
25 for 39 could see some improvement, but I just don't think you can be mad about it. Josh Jacobs 69 yards on the ground. He added 1 catch for 12. This is the down weeks that you're going to get with Josh Jacobs, though. Like, that's a down week for Josh Jacobs. He's going to get a lot of opportunity, but some weeks he's just not going to find the end zone.
Yeah.
As far as receiving goes, Hunter Renfrow 7 for 59. You felt good about that, but now he's in concussion protocol. Had 10 targets. I did say last week that I felt like Hunter Renfrow's targets would go up for Derek Carr to be more successful.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr was more successful. Hunter Renfrow had more catches, more targets. The tight end that got paid, Mr. Darren Waller, 6 for 50 with 1 touchdown. He had 8 targets. But the key story of the day, and I'll let you take over on this right here. Davante Adams, 7 targets, but only 2 receptions for 12 yards and a touchdown.
Based off last week, I'm going to say that's a Derek Carr problem because Derek Carr had a problem last week, but Davante Adams did not. And still 14 incompletions, and how many of them were to Davante Adams? 5.
Mm-hmm.
Davante Adams is way too good to be dropping 5.
No, he definitely not. It becomes a situation where you don't know. I didn't watch specifically the game itself because
I watched the back end of it.
Yeah, but you don't know, is Davante getting double teamed and they're still trying to feed him the ball? Is it just one of those situations where there was a couple deep passes that just didn't quite connect? You never know, but I feel like everybody was locked in for a big Davante Adams day, and thank goodness he at least gave you a touchdown.
Yeah.
On the Cardinals side of the ball, Kyler Murray, 277, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He added 28 yards on the ground with a rushing touchdown. That's what's going to help you with Kyler Murray, is he is going to rush a touchdown every now and then.
Yeah.
Now, as far as running backs, Darrell Williams, 8 for 59 with a touchdown. This is a name that we need to think about in case James Conner is out next week. I heard that James Conner's injury is not long-term. It is not threatening. They are not worried about it. He could be back next week. If he is out, Darrell Williams has to be on your radar.
Yeah. I mean,
Arizona is playing Los Angeles, the Rams. So tough matchup. Not the easiest matchup, that's for sure.
Nope. I'll tell you what, though. I kind of wish I hadn't done it now. But if you held on to Zach Ertz, you felt good, really. 8 receptions for 75 yards.
Absolutely, on 11 targets. So, I mean, that drastically changed. Marquise Brown, 11 targets, 6 receptions, 68 yards. You didn't feel bad about that.
Nope.
Greg Dortch was a guy that was talked about in deep leagues as a pickup. 4 targets, 4 receptions, 55 and a touchdown. He got in the end zone. It's all you can ask for a guy like that. And then once again, hopefully we're done with the AJ Green mess. 3 for 16. Now I will say the other running back besides Darrell Williams who came in was Eno Benjamin. He had 3 receptions for 20 yards. He also had 8 for 31. So not as efficient as Darrell Williams, but he had the same amount of carries. So it could be a completely split backfield if James Conner was to be out.
Yeah, I mean, I am a James Conner owner in, I think, just one league, and I hope he's back. But at the same time, almost, James Conner scares me more than I think anyone on my team.
Yeah, he's injury prone. You don't know what that offense is going to do right now. They're a little shaky. And then every time you get down near the end zone, you got to worry about Kyler Murray just running it in.
Right. Yep. If you have Kyler Murray, you feel good about Kyler Murray. but everyone else you're a little skeptical about, other than maybe
Marquise Brown.
Marquise Brown.
I
You're
feel
okay with
pretty good
Marquise
about
Brown.
him.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to see a couple more weeks of Zach Ertz doing good before I get excited about Zach Ertz.
yeah.
Um, but I'm ready to move on to our nightcap if you are
All
with
right.
the Packers and Bears. Now Packers get away with this one 27-10. My opinion, Justin Fields was in. He crossed the plane. He scored a touchdown. But anyway, other than that, the Bears, I don't know what they're doing. You're trying to win a ball game and you threw 11 passes. 11. Joe Flacco threw 44. And you threw 11 passes for
I mean,
70 yards and an interception.
you make it sound worse somehow.
It's the truth. You just okay. How could you hurt this young quarterback more than to say, "Hey, we're going to send you out there, and this is your team, and listen, buddy, we're with you, but you're going to throw the ball 11 times today, and that's going to be all." How is that ever going to breed confidence in Justin Fields? Honestly,
Who does he have to throw it to?
I mean, he's got better options than some of the other quarterbacks I've seen around the league here.
I
Okay,
don't know.
first of all, Darnell Mooney has done nothing because he can't do anything. At the end of last year, when Justin Fields came in for a couple games, Darnell Mooney was a pretty serviceable start. Cole Kmet is still looking for his first catch of the year because they won't even try to throw him the ball, and he's a tight end that everybody was grabbing late in drafts. David Montgomery out of the backfield, Khalil Herbert out of the backfield. Uh, Amon-Ra St. Brown's brother, Equanimous St. Brown, is the only guy that seems to be able to get a couple targets around here. Last week had a touchdown. The other day was 2 for 39. I'm upset. Okay, I wanted the Bears to win this game, but
Why?
I did pick the Packers to win because I was buying into the 2-0 hype for the Bears. That would have been hilarious.
Against their daddy? I
But
mean, come
now,
on now.
but now listen, David Montgomery, 15 carries for 122.
Yeah, you're feeling good about that.
We said that David Montgomery was gonna bounce back in this one, and he sure did. And Khalil Herbert added 4 for 38.
Yeah.
Justin Fields had 20 yards and a rushing touchdown. Should have probably had 2 rushing touchdowns, just to be honest. It was very close. But receiving options, get them all out of your lineup right now until they learn how to throw the ball more than 20 times.
Yeah,
It's true.
fair.
If you can't throw the ball, how are we ever going to score fantasy points with a wide receiver?
Right.
I would much rather start Elijah Moore, who is the number 2 wide receiver for Joe Flacco right now, with 40 some chances to get the ball, than I would to start Darnell Mooney, who only has 11 chances to get the ball. And that is sad.
Mm-hmm.
But we can move on to a competent offense here, other than David Montgomery. David Montgomery, you did great.
Yeah.
Good
David
job.
Montgomery's a beast, so it's not him. Hey, you want to know who else is a beast? I know he's your favorite player. Aaron Jones. I know you love him. Hey, that's for all that talking about the Cowboys and the Bengals being trash.
I am an A.J. Dillon owner for anyone that did not know. So every time Aaron Jones gets the ball, it's a little cringy for me because A.J. Dillon should be getting it. But Aaron Rodgers, 234-2, did enough to win this ball game. Didn't have to do much. Aaron Jones, 15 for 132-1. He was breaking off runs left, right, center. Just could not find a way to go down. Added 3 receptions for 38 yards and a touchdown. Just a great day for Aaron Jones. He's a great running back. Last week was the A.J. Dillon show a little bit. This week, the Aaron Jones show. And I feel like it's going to be back and forth like that pretty much all season. A.J. Dillon, 18 carries, 61 yards. Not very efficient. They still are giving him the ball, though. He had 1 catch for 6 yards on 3 targets. I think the biggest story is still this wide receiver group. You just can't make sense of it. Sammy Watkins, 3 for 93, but last week he barely did anything. Randall Cobb, 3 for 37. I talked about Tunyon might could get in the end zone. Well, 2 catches, 2 targets, 2 catches, 11 yards. And the guy that I'm trying to start in the next couple weeks when he's 100% healthy, Alan Lazard only had 3 targets, 2 for 13. Now he did get your touchdown, but can I take a chance on that right now?
I think you wait to start Alan Lazard until he has like a big week finally.
7 or 8 targets.
Yep.
I think when Alan Lazard starts getting 7 or 8 targets per game, then it's time to start thinking about putting him out there.
If Aaron Rodgers is only throwing it 25 times, I think bare minimum 8 of those have to go to. I think they have to go to Lazard if he's healthy.
Absolutely. And he
then
could still be just battling back.
Yeah.
He could still be battling back enough. After that, it's going to be a lot of Aaron Jones, just to be honest, in my opinion. If you're going to throw it to somebody out of the backfield, I feel like Aaron Jones is the obvious target.
Yeah.
But a 27-10 win for the Packers in a game that they really needed, bouncing back from a pretty handy loss to the Vikings in the division. So, but that covers our last game, our last 1 o'clock. That was all the 1 o'clock games. I mean 1 o'clocks, 4 o'clocks, the Sunday night game, and just everything but those Monday nighters.
Yeah. All right, Kobe. Tell them what they got to do this time. You're going to do it for
good.
once.
All right. So listen, there's going to be a video. It's going to be under one of us.
It's under you. It's under you.
It's going to be under me. All right. You're going to watch that video because we need the viewership. We appreciate the viewership. Put us on in the background. Listen to us, gain a little knowledge on your fantasy football teams going forward. There's going to be a subscribe button under Nick, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button. My kids in class were trying to bribe me today 5 extra credit points on a test for hitting the subscribe button and proving that they have hit it.
You didn't take that?
Listen, that's a little too
Kobe,
much.
I'm going to slap you through the screen.
I know, but that's a little too much. Listen, they're just trying to find ways around the fact that they're struggling right now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Triple Play Podcast. This is actually a Detroit Lions fan page now. So we will be talking about Detroit Lions 24/7. Anytime anybody comments about the Lions, they automatically get their question answered. So, but anyway, Nick, I'm going to let you tell everybody what we're talking about tonight.
Tonight we're gonna finish up with all of the week 2 games with the 2 Monday night games, and then we're gonna give y'all some guys that you could target in trades, or you should target in trades, and guys you should look for on the waiver wire. Kobe, you wanna start it with Vikings Eagles, or you wanna start it with Bills Titans?
You want to start it with a slaughter or a slaughter?
Well, let's start it with the big slaughter first, I guess.
Okay, big slaughter, Bills Titans. And you just thought both these games were going to be closer. So I mean, that's why I said slaughter. Like, I know 24-7, not necessarily like an absolute runaway, but it felt that way.
Yeah, it really it felt bad.
Yeah, but as far as the Buffalo Bills and Tennessee Titans, it's funny because the game started first. This is the first game that came on, and people were upset that it wasn't going to be over by the time the next game started.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't doing a true like double header fashion. But actually, this game was over pretty soon after the first one started, because midway through the third quarter, we decide, everybody's just going to put their backups in. This one's over. We'll pack it in. We could start with the Titans offense. Not a lot to talk about. Yeah. Ryan Tannehill, 11 for 20, 117, 2 picks. Just couldn't get it going. Bills defense too good. I don't think Ryan Tannehill's a bad player by any means. The Bills defense is just really good.
Yeah. And I mean the offense, like Derrick Henry didn't look great.
No.
Tannehill didn't look great. No, I mean, obviously none of the receivers can look great if Tannehill doesn't look great.
Exactly.
But I mean, the defense didn't look great. Like, it was just a bad day for the Titans.
And I will say, like, everybody's going to hit the panic button on Derrick Henry here, but you got to remember, Derrick Henry has games like this. He really does. Yeah. And then he also has games where he rushes for 203.
Right.
Like, so you're going to have a couple games where he just can't get it off the ground, because he is the one true weapon right now in this offense. But brighter days ahead for the Titans offense in general.
Yeah.
As far as the Bills are concerned, there was plenty of love for a certain player. 317-4 for Mr. Josh Allen. Just, they can hand him the MVP trophy whenever they're ready. Because I just don't see anybody taking it away.
I'll tell you what, he might have a co-MVP on the team with him, and his name is Stephon Diggs. 12 receptions, 148 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's
Absolutely.
That's a week.
Yeah, 14 targets. I mean, he's just going to him just consistently.
And I think, and you mentioned this to me, like when I was talking to you last night about how crazy it was, just how much attention he was getting, that Gabriel Davis was out. And
Yeah,
that took some love. That gave Gabriel Davis's love to Stephon Diggs.
yeah.
But to be honest,
Yeah,
sorry.
a lot of people probably thought maybe Isaiah McKenzie or maybe Jamison Crowder would come up as the two man, but they just decided just to give all the work to Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Um,
literally, him and Dawson Knox are the only
yeah,
people with more than 2 receptions.
yeah, and I think if this is a step up for sure for Dawson Knox, 4 for 41 on 5 targets.
Mm-hmm.
You might think about keeping him around after something like this. You might would think about you know using him as a flyer. Maybe if I had to start somebody next week, maybe my tight end's hurt. If I got Dalton Schultz, maybe I'm
Yeah.
picking up Dawson Knox to start in his place for 1 week just in case. As far as running backs go, we're still not rushing the ball very much in Buffalo. Devin Singletary started 6 for 19, but by halftime, he pretty much just sat out because it didn't matter anymore.
Right.
James Cook, the rookie running back, comes in, goes 11 for 53 against the backups for Tennessee. So don't get excited. Okay,
No.
James Cook got all this work after the game was over. So it's still weird in the backfield there. I'm actually going to be a Devin Singletary owner here shortly when this trade goes through, but uh, and I'm just going to hold for just a little bit. If in a couple weeks it still hasn't changed any at all, maybe I let go, and maybe next week if he has just this monster game, maybe I trade him away again. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of those things where I'm interested, but there's a lot of ways that it could play out for Devin Singletary.
Yeah. I just, it's hard to look for a running back on a team like the Bills that is so like pass heavy. Like Josh Allen's gonna
Yeah,
throw the ball.
yeah,
And but I mean Singletary might take advantage of the carries that he gets, you
yeah.
know.
Well, and that's that too. You're taking advantage of being in a good offense and
Right.
being near the end zone a lot.
Right.
But when you're throwing 25 and 30-yard touchdown passes consistently, then the running backs are kind of just out of luck.
Right.
But a slaughter, yeah,
Yeah. It was
nonetheless,
bad.
41-7, not good
Mm.
for the old Titans. There better days ahead for the Titans.
Yeah.
On the other side of things, on the other half of Monday night, we had the Philadelphia Eagles 24-7 against Minnesota, and I don't think it was like as big. Obviously, it's not as big of a blowout, but it's just the fact that the two teams look like polar opposites out there.
Yeah, like 24-7 doesn't do this game justice as to how much better the Eagles looked than the Vikings.
Absolutely. I completely agree. We'll start again on the losing side of the ball. Kirk Cousins, 221 for a touchdown and 3 picks. I don't know. It just really looked like he was trying too hard to get
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson the ball and making some bad passes along the way.
And when you have a back like Darius Slay on him, you can't make bad passes. You
Yeah,
just can't.
no.
And
No.
Darius Slay was 2 of those 3 picks.
Yeah, he had definitely a big resurgence right here in this game. And it's just, like I said, it's just one of those things where it looked like he was just trying too hard to get the ball to his best player. Like those plays will come. Like they're your best player for a reason. But as far as running goes, Dalvin Cook 6 for 17, and he only added 4 for 19 through the air. So you're a little worried. Um, Better days ahead, I would assume, just because I don't think this was the Vikings offense true colors here. So I do think better days ahead for Dalvin Cook. I don't think I'm panicking just yet because you spent a back end first on him. So, you kind of got to wait and see how it plays out. Wide receiver wise, Adam Thielen at the very end of the game got involved 4 for 52. Justin Jefferson 6 for 48. A far cry from week one, but he didn't absolutely kill you. Still got 12 targets. Like there's going to be some massive games from Justin Jefferson here. He's still top 5 wideout for sure, in my opinion. Don't get excited.
I mean, in terms of talent, he might be the best receiver in the league, but it kind of does stink that he has Kirk Cousins for a quarterback.
Yeah,
And
and we see this a lot with young guys.
yeah.
Jamar Chase didn't have the greatest week this week.
Mm-mm.
But then a guy that's just a little bit older, like Cooper Kupp, he comes out and just consistently is having these, and Stephon Diggs as well. But then don't hit the panic button on these guys. Okay, these
Right.
guys are going to be just fine going forward. Next week they can both catch 2 touchdowns apiece.
Right.
Now I will say real quick, Irv Smith Jr., the tight end from Minnesota, 5 for 36 and a touchdown. Everybody's looking for a tight end flyer right now. So if you want one, this might be an opportunity to get one because I think the Giants play the Lions. In 2 weeks, they've got the Bears. Then they got the Dolphins, who Mark Andrews just lit up. The Cardinals, who have a not so good defense. The Commanders. I mean, just a lot of games where the passing game has a good opportunity to really take off. Any other notes you want to add on the Vikings before we go over to the winning side of the ball?
I'd just say honestly, I'd probably just back up you on don't get rid of Dalvin Cook yet. Don't, and especially not for anything cheaper than what you think he's worth, like at pick value.
Yeah,
And
I wouldn't take an overperformer for Dalvin Cook right now.
right.
But as far as the winning side of the ball, Jalen Hurts proved that he could pass and run. 26 for 31, 333, touchdown and an interception. You're not expecting 333 out of Jalen Hurts. This is not why you drafted him in your fantasy.
Right.
I drafted him, and I drafted him for one reason, because he went 11 for 57 on the ground with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. And it honestly, it seems like a trend almost these days with quarterbacks to almost be running backs that can just dot. Like Lamar Jackson, he's a running back and a quarterback.
Yep, absolutely. Just athletes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want at quarterback now. Miles Sanders looked good in this one. 17 for 80 yards, 4.7 per carry. Added 3 catches for 6. I mean, he only got you 11 some odd points, but you felt good because Byron Scott only had 4 carries. Kenneth Gainwell only had 2. They got up big in this game. Miles Sanders is the guy in the backfield for a good offense. Now, A.J. Brown took a step back, 5 for 69, but he did spend some time in the medical tent. Not sure what he was dealing with there.
Yeah.
But, who knows? Maybe, 5 for 69 in a game where he actually had to possibly come out of it at one point. You're not upset.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert, 5 for 82. I know you're feeling a little bit better about that.
I'm going to say that, yes, I am feeling better, but I'm still extremely furious at Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert. I lost
last week.
I lost to your dad by less than a point.
Oh
yesterday.
yeah. Well, fair enough. But and the thing that hurt you the most was the fact that the Bills offense sat down in the third quarter. and just that's not good.
I needed one more catch or 10 more total yards throughout my team, and I won.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
We did get a stat correction here, basically, for old Devontae Smith, who did nothing in week 1, and this week had 7 receptions for 80 yards. So back to Heisman Trophy winning Devontae Smith, so to speak. They've got Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders looks good in the backfield. Dallas Goedert's a serviceable tight end, and Jalen Hurts can run and throw it. This offense is actually really scary.
Yeah. And I know that we were questioning the defense after week 1, but I think we also were underestimating what the Lions had.
Yeah, absolutely.
After seeing what Kirk Cousins did in week 1 versus this week, it makes me feel a lot better about the Eagles going forward for sure.
Yeah.
Especially the defense.
I think a lot of the panic on Dalvin Cook comes from the fact that DeAndre Swift tore up the Eagles defense in week 1, and then Dalvin Cook didn't do anything against the Eagles defense. But I think we're, just like you said again, let's give the credit to the Lions there. DeAndre Swift has looked awesome.
Yeah.
So
is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep. I mean, you just gotta, you temper expectations until we're at least 3 or 4 weeks into the season.
Right.
But I am ready, if you are, to move on to what I'm really looking forward to. Do you want to talk trade targets first or waiver wire pickups?
I think we got to save the trades for last.
I do too. I think they're a little juicier. Yeah. I would agree. So, Nick, I'm going to let you want to kick us off with a quarterback that you might be adding off the waiver wire.
This isn't for me personally because I have, Tua as on my bench. And so I don't have a real tough quarterback, situation, but Trevor Lawrence is a good option to think about. He's looked good in the first 2 weeks with an offense that I don't think anyone was super excited about. And I think he could be serviceable for at least a week or two if you need a guy.
Absolutely. I would agree there. No, I mean, like, the offense has looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they came back a little bit on the well, actually, let's see. Did they come back on the Commanders, or was it more the Commanders came back and actually beat them?
No,
It might have been that
I
might have
think that they were working back towards them, but I think the
okay.
Commanders kept staying away from them.
Yeah. But anyway, and then look really good in week 2 against a Colts defense that we're actually supposed to have immediate respect for,
Yeah.
you know. So I like the pickup, and I'm going to follow it with another guy who maybe was on a team that we underestimated, and Jared Goff. Uh, Jared
Yep.
Goff has looked very serviceable through 2 weeks. Now only had 16 points in week 1, but 215 and 2. He's not turning the ball over. This past week, 256 and 4. They've got a lot of good weapons. Pretty friendly schedule the next 2 weeks, Minnesota and Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean two teams that he could definitely light up in,
Mm-hmm.
in a situation where Jalen Hurts just lit up Minnesota
Yeah.
and Jimmy G came in and looked pretty good against Seattle.
Yeah.
So I mean I think Jared Goff could be a good guy for you for the next couple weeks.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. And now I know you had two quarterbacks. I didn't want to take your names, so I'll let you jump into your next one because I couldn't. There wasn't a fourth. A
I
second one for
understand,
me.
and we're in an 8-team league, so there's going to be a
Yeah.
couple more guys available.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy probably wasn't available this past week, but he might be available now, and that's Mr. Kirk Cousins. We just talked about how poor of a game he had. All said and done, 11 fantasy points, even with that pitiful of a game.
Mm-hmm.
If you need somebody to spot start, you're grabbing Kirk Cousins. He plays Detroit this week. Maybe you take a week off with New Orleans next week, but then you might be right back at it against a Chicago team that's not very good too.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a guy that's got a lot of good weapons around him. He's got the opportunity. They're going to move the ball. Detroit's going to score, so
Yeah.
he's going to have to score.
Yeah.
I like Kirk Cousins as a spot starter this week if you need a guy.
Yeah. And I think you like him just because of the potential of Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson.
Absolutely, and we'll be mentioning Adam Thielen later on in our segment. Okay.
All right. You want to
I'll
move
let
on to
you.
running backs?
Yep, I'll let you start us with a running back.
All right. Keeping things down in Jacksonville, James Robinson, I think is as good of an option you're going to find on waivers in an 8 to 10 team league. And I don't think on a 10 team league that he's on waivers, to be honest with
Yeah, it probably not.
you. Mm-mm.
No, and a lot of people were thinking Travis Etienne, and James Robinson went undrafted in a lot of leagues.
Mm-hmm.
But it's obvious that they like him down there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to grab Raheem Mostert here for 2 reasons. One reason, he outcarried Chase Edmonds and actually got more targets than Chase Edmonds in the passing game. That's supposed to be Chase Edmonds' MO. Let me catch the passes. But was more involved in both facets of the game. And he's on the Dolphins, a team that have obviously shown that they are home run hitters. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to score. They're going to score points. Raheem Mostert is another home run hitter. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
he's getting up there in age just a little bit for a running back. But he's a guy that for the 49ers, without the injury, let's just take the injury concern out of it. He was a guy that would bust off these crazy long runs and just fly down the field.
Yeah.
But 11 rushes for 51 yards this past week, 3 receptions for 28 yards. He's a guy that maybe I grab and hang on to here. Now, he does play
Yeah.
Buffalo this week. Maybe you wait another week.
Yeah.
Maybe you wait another week, and then you grab him for Cincinnati, Jets, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago, and Cleveland all the way to his bye. I mean, that is very, very serviceable time for a guy whenever you're going to start getting a couple bye weeks in there.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. I
Who
reckon
else you got?
I'll move on to my second one.
Yep.
Melvin Gordon. I think he has a chance on a Broncos offense that is struggling with the passing game. If you're struggling passing the ball against the Texans, you got problems, like real problems.
Yeah.
And I mean, 10 carries for 47, 4.7 a carry is fine, plenty fine.
Yeah.
But Javonte Williams also getting 15. It hurts. But Melvin Gordon, I'd like to see a little more out of the backfield. In terms of passes to him, but I think he could be a very, very good option if you had a running back get hurt, or if you're just looking for a flex for the week or something like that. He could be a great option.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon is a guy that could honestly hit the waiver wire this week in 8 to 10 team leagues for sure, just for
Hmm.
the fact that you're worried about Denver's offense, and also, sometimes you got to make room for another guy.
Hmm.
You might be big on one of these rookie wide receivers, maybe somebody like Garrett Wilson wasn't on somebody's roster, and you need a wide receiver more than you need a backup running back
Right.
for the Denver Broncos. So, but no, a very serviceable option for a Denver Broncos offense that we would like to think could get it together in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a deep league guy right here, and I'd say some people are probably going to try to grab him in 12-team leagues, and that is Jordan Mason, the new backup running back for the San Francisco 49ers. At the beginning of the year, it was Elijah Mitchell, out 8 weeks. Then this week, Jeff Wilson Jr. is the main guy, but Davis Price ends up out 6 to 8 weeks with a high ankle sprain now as the two guy, and he got almost as many carries as Jeff Wilson Jr. did. So my name is Jeff is not going to do it all himself because he's had an injury past as well.
Yeah.
So Jordan Mason could be the guy. Now they do have Marlon Mack on the practice squad, and he was a pretty serviceable guy for the Colts a couple years ago. So maybe he gets elevated as a body to have on the sideline. But as far as undrafted rookies or rookies drafted way late in drafts and stuff, Kyle Shanahan has been known to hit some home runs with those guys, especially at running back. He's not a high spender at running back, so Jordan Mason's a guy that could get 10 to 12 touches this week in your league. And if you grab him this week, sit on him, see what happens. Maybe Jeff Wilson Jr. gets hurt, and now you've got a starting running back for who knows how long.
Yeah.
And I guess we will progress to the wide receivers.
You want to kick this one off? You want me to?
I will,
All right.
and I'm going to start with a guy who's probably only available in like your 8-team leagues. But that's Traylon Burks for the
Hmm.
Tennessee Titans. Not the greatest of games, so this may be something that gets some people off of his. He's off the radar for some guys. 3 receptions for 55 in week 1, and 4 receptions for 47 in week 2. His targets did go up by 1, but I feel like this Tennessee Titans offense is just trying to figure it out right now. Like, what is life like without A.J. Brown and Corey Davis and guys like that? Just the guys that they've lost over the past couple seasons here.
Yeah.
And they've got a absolute talent in Traylon Burks, a rookie wide receiver who's only going to get more involved going forward. So as far as 8-team leagues go, maybe a 10-team league, you never know.
Yeah.
I think he's a pickup and hold him for a couple weeks. Wait till they really start showing that they're going to give him 10 to 12 targets per game.
Hmm. Now I'm also going to give you one that if he is still, and he was available in our league, so this is why I put him on here.
Yep.
He's probably not available in most leagues, but Drake London.
Yep.
I think if he is available in your league, you have to put in a waiver claim for him. I don't care if you have the best 3 wide receivers in the league, he can go in your flex.
Absolutely.
Because if he's getting 8 for 86 and a touchdown with Marcus Mariota as his quarterback, you need to get him on your team.
Yeah, and he's obviously doing something right if they're targeting him over Kyle Pitts.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, I think they aren't targeting Kyle Pitts because they're just stupid. They have terrible coaches. But don't even get me started on that. But anyways, I think Drake London, if he is available, you have to try and get him.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm going to go with a guy that's probably available in your 10-team leagues for sure. He may have been scooped up in your 12-team league this past week, but he might have hit the waiver wire soon thereafter the game if not used. Russell Gage, who is, this past week he was the number 2 guy for Tampa Bay behind Mike Evans. Supposed to be anyway, and they kind of spread the ball around and did what they could. 6 targets, 5 for 28 yards, only 7.8 points. Here's the deal, though. Okay, Chris Godwin is out right now.
Yeah.
Julio Jones is out right now. Mike Evans, suspended. However, we did hear that he is appealing that suspension, so it could be a couple weeks. So if he serves that 1-game suspension still, it could be a couple weeks down the road now.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think that might be a team call to say, like, hey, you need to appeal this because we need you for a couple weeks while we're waiting on these boys to get back. Now, I did hear something today that was pretty alarming. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have signed veteran wide receiver Cole Beasley. to the practice squad. So
yeah, hey, you know what
I,
Cole Beasley's good at doing? Catching some
catching the
freaking touchdowns. That's
catching the
what he's good at.
ball. he's
Oh,
a P, he's a
just
P,
catching the ball.
catching the ball. He's good at catching the ball because guess what? He's a PPR guy.
He
That's
is
what
a
Cole
PPR
Beasley
guy.
is. Um, but now obviously you don't think Cole Beasley slots right into the
No,
offense on Sunday or
no.
anything. Now maybe this does worry me a little bit as a Chris Godwin owner, and I think it should worry some people as a Julio Jones owner. Like if those guys were close to coming back next week or close to being ready and might be back, why would they be signing another body
Mm-hmm.
right here? So obviously, we may be in a situation where they decide, like, hey, Chris Godwin, we need you to get really healthy, sit 2 more weeks. Let's make sure that you're fine, and then we'll bring you back out here.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be the same thing with Julio. Like, hey, Julio, let's take another week. Let's just be safe. Russell Gage is going to hold it down here. Cole Beasley's going to come up. We're going to have bodies, and we're going to be just fine. But Russell Gage is a flyer. You take a chance on it. He might do some. He might do great, and he might not. If
Yeah.
you're in a situation where you have to add Russell Gage, I think you're looking. You're actually just looking for some points, and he's a guy
Yeah.
that's going to get some targets. He is going to get some targets this week.
Yeah. My last guy had a good week this week, and I think he will be available in most 8 and maybe a few 10-team leagues, and that's Jacoby Myers.
Yep, I like that one.
9 for 95, and I mean he didn't. I don't know if he had the most targets or not. He didn't have the most yards. Nelson Aguilar did, but
No, he had the most targets. He had the most targets.
He had the most receptions. Yeah. But 9 for 95 with no touchdowns, you're getting 18 and a half out of him with no touchdowns. And you're fine with that from Jacoby Myers.
Yep.
And Mac Jones looked a lot better this week. And I feel a lot better about the Patriots going forward.
Yeah, no, they were moving the ball a little bit this week, and Jacoby Myers has always been a PPR stud. I don't think if like you're in some kind of weird standard league where you don't play PPR, like most people play PPR now.
Yeah.
And so if you're playing PPR, Jacoby Myers is a great pick for
Yeah.
sure. Absolutely. And you don't have to worry as much about Mac Jones because he's going to get 8 or 10 receptions regardless of how far they are or where they are. You're still getting 8 to 10 receptions.
Right.
But I'm ready to move on to tight ends if you are, and I'll let you kick it off with a waiver wire addition at tight end.
If he's still on the waiver wire, I know me and Cole have been preaching this. Gerald Everett.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to pick this man up.
Yeah.
He's finding the end zone, and he's got freaking Justin Herbert as his quarterback.
Yep.
What's not to like about that?
Absolutely. And Keenan Allen could be out another week.
Yes.
You never know.
All those targets. Give him to Gerald. He's on 2 of my fantasy teams. Give him to Gerald.
Give him to Gerald. But anyway, no, a great pickup. And he probably still is available in some 8-team leagues.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. And there is not enough good tight ends that Gerald Everett should not be a starting tight end in an 8-team league.
Exactly.
For sure. I went with a guy down in Jacksonville. We're liking the Jaguars right now. Evan Ingram, who is a guy that has had a couple tough years. Has just struggled back in with the Giants and just did not look good. Couldn't stay healthy, anything. Comes out this season, first game, 4 for 28, caught all 4 of his targets. So, easing into the offense. This week, double the targets. 8 targets, caught 7 of them for 46. He is a guy that is going to get a lot of receptions as long as he keeps catching the ball the way that he is. He seems to be a nice security blanket for Trevor Lawrence, still a young quarterback who needs a good security blanket. That's going to help this offense right now. I think that right now, as long as Evan Ingram stays healthy, he's good for 8 or 9 targets a game. I wouldn't get, too excited about the end zone presence because when they're down near the end zone, they've got Christian Kirk. They've got 2 good running backs in ETN and James Robinson to get it in. Maybe he's not the guy near the end zone, but 8 to 9 targets a week out of your tight end, you're feeling pretty good about.
Yeah. Now, my second one, I don't know. I feel like a lot of teams probably have him just because of the team he's on.
Yeah.
That's Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
Now, he only has, less than 10 points for the season, but he's going to get his targets and he's going to get his touchdowns because I know Stephon Diggs was man of the week last week. but he was the second man up.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue to be that way for probably a lot of the year. I mean, until, I don't know. But Josh Allen likes him in the end zone, and they're going to be around the end zone all year long.
They're in the red zone a lot, yeah. They're there all the time down there, for sure. I think it's a fine ad on a guy that now if you're going Dawson Knox, you're thinking touchdown.
Yeah.
For sure. You're thinking touchdown. So if you're not in PPR, Dawson Knox might be the best option for you.
You're right.
Because you're all about getting a touchdown. Well, he's going to be near the end zone a lot. My second guy comes from a team that likes to throw the ball a lot with a quarterback that used to be an MVP, and that's Tyler Conklin of the New York Jets with Mr. Run and Gun Joe Flacco as his quarterback out here, leading the league in pass attempts, and that sounds good for fantasy football. Okay, if I'm leading the league in passing attempts, maybe I'm thinking about what players he might throw it to. But Tyler Conklin, 7 targets week 1. Only had 4 receptions for 16 and a touchdown. I like the stat line week 2 better for PPR purposes. 9 targets, 6 receptions, 40 receiving yards. If you're throwing the ball a ton, pick up these guys, use these guys that are on this offense. I think several of them are useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm ready to talk trades if you are.
Let's get into it.
Well, I'll talk quarterback first, and I'm going to talk about a guy. I'm going to talk about a guy that has been to the Super Bowl, Nick. Let me paint you a picture. Went to the Super Bowl with a terrible offensive line. Okay? Sacked 9 times in the AFC Championship game. Still got it done.
Can I put middle fingers up on this screen?
No.
Okay.
Has a great running back behind him. Has 3 very serviceable wide receivers. Yeah. 2 great ones and a very serviceable third guy. Okay. Has had a rocky start to the season. People are starting to fade on him. Had a high draft capital though. Okay. You paid up for this guy. If you wanted him, you went and got him.
Yeah.
Okay. His wide receivers are healthy. The offensive line, the money they paid for it, I think it's going to come around. So the guy you should be targeting at quarterback, if you want a long-term guy, is Joe Burrow.
This fellow will not be trading Joe Burrow, but
will not be trading Joe Burrow, but I might be trading for Joe Burrow.
Well, see, I agree. I agree with Colby because I think people will be down on him because if they're anything like me, they understand how pitiful this offensive line has looked the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
And they're worried about it. And I'm worried. I'm worried about it. I think you feel better about it than I do.
Yeah, I really think that with the money they put into it, I just don't see how it can't turn around. I really think it's going to turn around for them. I do.
I'm hoping that it was the TJ Watt and Micah Parsons effect the first 2 weeks, and they can just get it together. And if he's getting sacked more than I'll give him 2. If he gets sacked more than twice against the Jets, it might be time to just hit the panic button on the Bengals. Really.
Yeah.
As a whole, forget just Joe Burrow, the whole team.
All right. Well, who are you trading for at quarterback?
Now, I don't know that many people are going to go for this. And me and you had a conversation about this before we recorded. Kyler Murray. Because he hasn't been this elite. He's not up there with Mahomes and Allen this year. I mean, I know Mahomes had a down week this week. But I think there will be people willing to trade Kyler Murray for pieces that they believe have some upside. You're probably going to have to trade one stud for him. One stud.
Yeah.
And then maybe a couple of pieces that have upside, and you're probably getting Kyler Murray, and you're probably winning the trade. And I don't know. And there's not going to be a lot of people that will trade Kyler Murray away just because of what he is. But if you think you can get someone to give you Kyler Murray for a reasonable price tag, I would go for it 100%. 100%.
Yeah, no. I think even better days are ahead for Kyler Murray.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. And what you're trying to do, try to trade a guy that you think's overperforming. Try to trade a guy that's overperforming, and maybe you trade a guy with a decent name that you think is just not going to do it this year.
Right.
But no,
Austin Eckler.
Oh God, I don't think it's time
for Kyler Murray.
It's not time to trade.
Kyler Murray's a better running back than he is, and Kyler Murray's a quarterback.
Timeout. Flag on the play. Get it. Where's it at?
No, but you can't tell me you feel good about Austin Eckler anyway.
I think that we need to calm down on Austin Eckler.
Okay, I do. I am a big.
You have
Austin
some.
Eckler
You have
hater.
some hate. You have some
I do
hate.
have some
in your
hate
heart.
for Austin Eckler.
Do you want to go running backs next, or do you want to go wide receivers?
We can get running back next if you want to.
All right. Do you want me to paint you another picture?
Go for
I'll
it.
paint. Okay,
Go
I'm gonna paint. Listen, I'm gonna paint you a picture.
God, I got a cash print. Oh, hold on.
In a state where they love to party, Nick. They love it. Okay, and they've got a quarterback that is literally playing with a broke back. And I'm telling you, this guy didn't even play this past week. It wasn't on the field whatsoever, and I'm willing to trade for him right now because what he does in the passing game when he has the opportunity and what he does on the field when he has the opportunity to be healthy and be out there is worth the risk for me right now at the price tag that you would have to give up because I'm telling you, this is the lowest it's ever going to be for Mr. Alvin Kamara from the New Orleans Saints. If you want a guy that's low of the low, okay, I think Austin Eckler got drafted too high still. For that guy to give you or that woman, whoever has Austin Eckler on their team, I don't think they're ready to part ways yet. Right. But Alvin Kamara, where he went, he's a second round guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think some people might be willing to part ways with him just out of fear for Jameis Winston and out of fear for, Alvin Kamara didn't look the greatest week 1, and then he missed week 2 with an injury. I do think some people are going to hit the panic button on Alvin Kamara. I might go trade for him right after this. I'm not gonna trade. Listen, I'm looking for trades.
In our league.
I don't know, but the ESPN league is about to blow up. I'm gonna trade everybody. I'm 1-1, and everybody's on the market.
Now, I'm gonna say a running back that might have been a number 1 pick in a lot of drafts. He plays for this team. Christian McCaffrey, 2 down weeks. Not down weeks, but not what you're looking for from Christian McCaffrey, who was, a top 3 pick in probably 99.9% of leagues. There's people willing to trade him out there, I guarantee it. Now, if there's a Panthers fan that has him, I wouldn't even bother. But if they aren't a Panthers fan, I'd offer him something. You're gonna have to give up a stud, but go someone who is a stud, but is also way overperforming right now.
Yeah.
And then throw a couple upside pieces and get your boy CMC, because he's gonna be good no matter what. I think. I don't know. I can't say anything about the Panthers being good, not giggle a little bit.
Yeah.
But CMC, when he's healthy, he has shown that he is the best running back in the league. But there is a health concern, but they're not overusing him like they have in the past few years to get him hurt. I don't know. And that's another thing that you could get Christian McCaffrey without giving up your stud because of that.
I was just going to look at a couple guys that have been overperforming that you might could turn into Christian McCaffrey. If you got to throw a little extra piece in here. Mm-hmm. I think that you could now he is the number 1 running back right now in fantasy football, so you might want to keep him, but I think you could turn Nick Chubb in a small piece into Christian McCaffrey. And Nick Chubb is not a guy that if you're in a PPR league, you would rather have Christian McCaffrey for better days ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey has not done bad, but he's 15 points behind Nick Chubb right now. And Nick Chubb has looked awesome so far for the Cleveland, and he's got a good schedule going forward. So whoever you're trading him to is going to say, man, God, this schedule looks good. Maybe I'm worried too much about the Panthers offense right now.
Yeah.
But no, and everybody's like, oh, well, nobody's going to trade Christian McCaffrey. There is always a price tag on everybody. And the price tag on Christian McCaffrey has to do with the fact that the offense just does not look very good right now.
Right.
But no, I think Nick Chubb in a small piece, and you might be a Christian McCaffrey owner.
Yeah.
And I would do that.
I as a Panthers fan, I would definitely do that. But, I think that for the first time in probably a while, there's a real chance you're going to get Christian McCaffrey for cheaper than you should get him.
Yep. And I think the 3 other guys that you could get for cheap right now, cheaper than you would normally get them,
mm-hmm.
Dalvin Cook,
mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry,
yep,
and Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
I'm
going to add one more to that. Gosh, I just forgot his name now.
Najee Harris.
Raiders. Josh Jacobs.
Now Josh Jacobs, I'm a little more scared about. I think Najee Harris is another guy that you could get for low right now. A lot of
I
these
wouldn't say low.
a lot of these top running backs just ain't doing it right now.
That's fair. That is fair.
And there's going to be people that are willing to part ways. There really is. I mean,
Yeah.
Najee Harris only has 24 points through 2 weeks. That's less than that's 8 less than Christian McCaffrey has.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler has 29 points, but it has been the ugliest 29 points I've ever seen. So, I mean, there's Antonio Gibson's ahead of him. Miles Sanders is ahead of him. Kareem Hunt's ahead of him. And things are going to even out eventually, but
yeah.
Well, if you want to go ahead and
All right, let's jump to wide receivers. I think Juju Smith-Schuster might be the best trade target. All right. Might be the best trade target you can get because the upside with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback is stupid.
Yeah.
And he just had the worst week I think I've ever seen him have. And he is on the trade block for, I think, 99% of owners.
Yeah.
And you can get him for cheap. That's the thing. That's the thing with Juju. You can get him for cheap. You can't do that with the guys we mentioned before, really.
Yeah. If you've got him, you're worried. Yeah. If you don't have him,
you kind of want to take a shot on him.
You're thinking about taking a shot on him. Exactly. Now, if you're 0-2 right now, you probably ain't taking shots on anybody. But now, if you're 1-1, 2-0, whatever, now I'm telling you right now, you could go 0-4 and win your league.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. All you got to do is make the playoffs. But, Nick, I know a guy who has Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, it's going to cost everybody a pretty penny to get him from him because he just got him from somebody else. So, I actually just traded for Juju Smith-Schuster in our ESPN league. I saw an opportunity to capitalize on a couple players.
Please.
No, it was not.
Please.
I got rid of a couple players that are going to be pretty good right now for the opportunity of Juju being good down the road.
Yeah.
So, as far as wide receiver for me, I'm in a situation where I'm looking for a guy who is you're looking for a guy who's in a good offense.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for a guy who has opportunity and looking for a guy who's down right now, and his owner is really worried. And for me, that is Adam Thielen of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, why would you trade for the 2 in any offense? Some people are worried that Adam Thielen is just done, that this is it. This is where he starts going downhill. I just don't see that being the case. Better days are ahead for Minnesota. I think Adam Thielen is a good trade target right now.
And another thing, I think you can get him for cheap. I mean, maybe not cheap, but cheaper than most.
Yeah.
And the upside is ridiculous. It really is.
Yep. Well, tight ends, we got a couple good ones for you. A couple guys that probably got drafted top 4 at tight end, and people are probably looking to get rid of them.
Yeah. You want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off with Mr. George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. So George Kittle has not seen the field yet. so obviously, if his owner is 2-0, you're probably not going to get him because they're fine with waiting. They're 2-0. Why would they not be?
Right.
If his owner's 0-2, obviously, you go get him, but because they're looking for players that can make a difference now.
Right.
Now I did see. Now our Yahoo League doesn't have trades. We don't do trades in the Yahoo League. Too much family in the league.
Yeah.
But and I think that we would all be fine with it, But you never know. The George Kittle owner actually is the Dalton Schultz owner too. So I'm silent. Like if he drops George Kittle, bro, I'm gonna be all over this. Man.
If someone drops George Kittle, I'm driving to their house to punch him in the mouth.
Is he going to keep Dalton Schultz, George Kittle, and pick up another tight end to be able to start this week because Dalton Schultz might be out?
Well, no, but I'm telling you what, if you're dropping George Kittle over Dalton Schultz, you're just an idiot. You don't.
I just don't know. I just don't know what I would do in that situation.
I think either way, if you're looking for someone this week, you cannot drop George Kittle. Yeah. You can't do it. Yeah. I don't think. If your team's stupid crack, maybe, but
I'm just waiting to see. Who you got? Who you got?
We've talked about him before in this video and his lack of targets, and that's Kyle Pitts. You can get him for as cheap as you're ever going to get Kyle Pitts.
It's his ever in his whole career, maybe.
Yeah. My man has not done well. It's not his fault that he hasn't done anything. They haven't thrown the ball, and from the sound of it, Arthur Smith doesn't plan on letting him get the ball for some reason. Yep. But I think at a certain point, if the Falcons have any interest in winning, they're going to get the ball to Kyle Pitts at some point. And you're gonna get Kyle Pitts for cheap right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great option. I think all these are great options. This is the longest video we've ever had.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it. We appreciate the support, appreciate the views. Nick, tell them what they got to do. We'll wrap her.
All right. There's going to be a video under Colby, and there's going to be an option to subscribe below me. Y'all got to go watch that video, and you got to hit that subscribe button. Then down below, you got to let us know what you think about these waiver wire pickups and these trade targets, and let us know if you're thinking about targeting one of these guys. Obviously, if you're in our league, we're probably not going to trade these guys to you. Because,
No.
But other people will definitely be open to trading these guys. And these waiver wire guys that we just gave to y'all are great pickups for the most part. And I don't know.
We appreciate it though. Yeah. We appreciate the views. We'll see you. We'll see you.